क्या है इसलिए मैंने आपको
लीजिए। हाँ देखिए, ये देखिए,
वो तो है ही सब कुछ लगा।
नहीं ये देखिए, ये दिख रहे हैं उसके लिए, नहीं उसके लिए, ये बस ऐसे साड़ी में
हाँ।
ये ऐसे करके,
ये तुम पहन ही लो,
ठीक है। आप बोलिएगे ना, ये जब ऐसे ऑन करेंगे ना, थोड़ा दबा के रखना, कनेक्टेड।
भाई ऐसा है, यही रहना, इसको ऑन करके ही देना। हाँ यही रहना, हम लोग को तो यही रहना है, ऑन करके ही देना, क्योंकि ये नर्वसनेस में ऐसा ना हो कि ऑन ही ना हो। इसका मतलब यूट्यूब से है, इसका मतलब यहाँ की ऑडियंस है।
ये इवन आपकी इसमें डाल दीजिए ना तो भी आवाज़ आ रही है।
ठीक। तो ग्रीन बोलिए सर।
कह रही है कोई आने वाला है कि 6 स्टार्ट कर दें?
आएगा, अभी और आएगा, 6 बजे बोल रहे थे सर। आएगा 10 आदमी आ रहा है, आर के अपन से 5 और 10-15 मिनट लग रहा था मैं पहुँचने में। वो टाटा वाला का कुछ पता ही नहीं चल रहा है। वो तो 7 बजे बोला था पहले सुबह ही। हेलो, अभी हेलो, नहीं तुम उसमें बताओ ना।
इसको बंद करो, मैं करूँ, बहुत दूर है, मैं ऐसा लाइव देख रहा हूँ। वो करो कोई ना।
लेके निकल गए।
बड़ी अरे तो क्या करोगी?
अब कंपनी थोड़ी ना जाएंगे, 6 बजे छुट्टी होगी। कितना बजे स्टार्ट होगा?
6 बजे से बोल रहे हैं, क्योंकि कुछ लोग अभी फ़ोन कर रहे हैं कि आ रहे हैं। RKFL से भी अभी रास्ते में है।
हाँ, RKFL से कोई नहीं दिख रहा।
हाँ, वहाँ से 5 लोग आ रहे हैं
चलो
सब।
मैडम,
सुशीला को बुलाया है और RKFL से अब आ रही है, ठीक है। आ रही है आवाज? ऑफ है। और YouTube का टेलीकास्ट है ना। हाँ। कौन आया? हाँ। ऑफ है। हेलो हेलो। सर्विलांस लगा दी, हम बात ही नहीं कर सकते।
हाँ ऑन है। हाँ ठीक है।
ये ऑफ हुआ ब्लू।
नहीं हाँ ब्लू अभी ब्लू में चल रहा है।
तो आप बंद कर लो।
तो हम सामने से खड़े रहते हैं।
सर्विलांस लगाती हैं, बात ही नहीं कर पा रहे।
वही बात ही नहीं कर सकते।
इसको आप लगा लीजिए।
अभी ऑन है, ये ऑफ है।
ऑन है।
अब हम बात ही नहीं करेंगे। बात करना लाऊंगा। हेलो। हाँ मैम, अभी तक आए नहीं? अच्छा अच्छा ठीक है। नहीं अभी स्टार्ट नहीं हुआ है। अच्छा हेलो हेलो।
ऑन करो, ग्रीन लाइट जल रहा है। ऑन कर दो, कहाँ गया? ऑन करो इसको, ऑन करो और पहनो। ऑन है,
ऑन है।
ये डिवाइस
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call upon our Chief Commercial Officer, Pankaj Srivastav, and please greet and welcome Mr. Sibya Jyoti Datta, our Chief Guest. Thank you.
डिस्टर्बेंस हो रहा है, रखो।
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure on behalf of Quality Austria Central Asia to extend a very warm welcome to all of you for this important seminar on ESG, not as compliance but as the new language of corporate strategy. We are truly honored to have with us our chief guest, Mr. Sibya Jyoti Datta, Head Environment Center of Excellence, Tata Steel. Thank you for gracing this occasion with your presence and agreeing to share your vision. I also take this opportunity to warmly welcome all the distinguished CEOs, MDs, executives and industry leaders from Jamshedpur's industrial area who have joined us today. Your presence here reflects the seriousness with which our community is approaching sustainability. Friends, we all know that ESG is no longer about ticking boxes. It is about integrating energy, carbon, and compliance into strategy, not as obligations but as opportunities. Companies that embedded sustainability at their core are already leading the way in resilience and growth. This seminar is not just another event, it is a platform to share insights, exchange ideas, and together shape a more responsible, sustainable, and competitive future. And now, to formally begin today's proceedings, I would like to invite our chief guest, Mr. Shivu Jyoti Datta, to kindly come forward along with Mr. Pankaj Srivastav, Mr. Anil Chaube, Mr. Hardeep Griwal, and light the ceremonial lamp, a symbol of knowledge, progress, and enlightenment. With this, let us illuminate the path towards responsibility, resilience, and growth. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Please have a seat.
परफेक्ट, सही हो गया।
Now, I would like to invite the face of Quality Austria in East since day one. Any guesses? Yes. So, I would like to welcome Mr. Jayan Kumar to please take the proceedings further. Thank you.
Thank you, Sweta, for the honor. At the outset, behalf of Quality Austria, me, Jayant Kumar, welcome you all for this important session related to ESG. Thank you. I would like to extend heartiest thanks to our chief guest, Mr. Shibojyoti Datta, for his presence here and later enlighten us about ESG. Thank you very much, sir. Let me formally introduce our chief guest first. Mr. Datta is Bachelor of Technology with honors in Energy Engineering from IIT Kharagpur. He is also Master of Business Administration in Finance from CSM IGS. He has a vast experience of energy management, climate response, environmental management, CO2 World Steel. He is member of Energy Management Subcommittee of Bureau of Indian Standard, World Economic Forum MMBI, Technical Working Group of NetGeo. If I talk about his vast experience, Mr. Datta has spent 14 plus years in Steel Authority of India Limited, and his journey started as management trainee and then journey continued to become senior manager in Steel Authority of India Limited. He later worked with CII ITC Center of Excellence for almost 5.5 years, and for last 20 years he is with India's one of the pioneer, Tata Steel. And he is there as head of Environment Center of Excellence. I am sorry, your vast experience cannot be covered in a single speech. Now, I would request our honorable chief guest to come on the dais and enlighten us about this seminar.
Thank you.
It's yours.
Good evening to all of you. I hope I am audible. The last people. Usually, business faces very common day challenges. Whether it is to manage the logistics, manage efficiency, manage labor, procurement, day-to-day attendances, safety, all this bugs around the leadership mindset. These are very common day affairs and these have been there for a very long time. Nobody can tell that these are not essential. Over a very long period of time, business have matured in this manner to take care of the finance, cash flows, and started taking cognizance of quality. Then it started taking cognizance of the safety, and of late it has been taking care of many more things, starting with environment, societal issues, license to operate, regulatory concerns, and many more. Majority of the time, as individuals, we cannot focus on so many things. And smaller organizations faces even more bigger challenge because they lack dedicated team members. So therefore, there is a need to get aware of all these different dimensions and challenges and support the business in the most appropriate way. I'm not saying that you have to be absolutely fanatic about safety or absolutely fanatic about environment. There is a balance, and there is no single definition of what is the most sweet spot. That's the challenge that faces business today. Without the finance, without the profitability, business do not exist. So that remains the most supreme objective of a business. Support the nation, strengthen its GDP, coed and flourish and succeed. But at the same point of time, once you start making the money, it has to also look at how can we equitably distribute this wealth, not just amongst the employees and the owners or the shareholders of the business, but also with the government, with local stakeholders, the community, and many more. There are multiple stakeholders in a business, and each one of them deserves a pie, not necessarily in terms of money, but they might need cleaner air around you. The community might need a cleaner air around you. They might need expected support, logistical support, infrastructural support, sometimes simple knowledge, sometimes infrastructure in terms of education, schooling, housing, all these things are required, and these are coming in the form of either environmental or social aspects. So when we started with the business, we started off core activity of what we do. Sometimes we make product, sometimes we transform products, sometimes we do mining, sometimes we do mineral beneficiation, but ultimately we are doing this to value add and deliver something which my next supply chain member or the ultimate end customer might utilize and buys that from us. It could be service. Everywhere there is a value addition, and that value addition is giving me the value. Value in terms of money, value in terms of knowledge, sometimes value in terms of intellectual property rights, IPR. In India, might be we are little less concerned about IPR because majority of the time we follow the international copyrights and we are a little slower, but that's a place we should also work in. So having said the basic business needs and the basic way that we operate, my purpose today here to actually tell you where does the ESG comes in. So as I mentioned, finance is there, environment we have to take care. So there are different stakeholder requirements. And on the environment front, the first and the foremost, as we consider in Tata Steel, are our own employees. Because if we do not operate our shop floor in a clean manner, the first person who would get impacted is the shop floor employee because he or she is working in a dirty environment. So that's a air related issue. Sometimes it is a water related issue, but it goes beyond because the next level which gets impacted is our community. And then there are multiple other stakeholders in terms of, let's say, government. Government has done an overall survey and then tell you that do not pollute the air more than 50 milligrams per millimeter cube. So they set certain standards. So that's one of the stakeholders is government, and they tell us stay below this so that the air is remaining cleaner, or stay at the pH level of discharge between 8.5 and 6.5 so that the water is still not contaminated, and that's where we need to operate. So stakeholder requirements are defined. Sometimes the stakeholder requirements are nascent, they are not explicitly told, but the community expects us to operate in an absolutely clean blue sky. So those are the expected stakeholder requirements. Each one of them, stakeholders, if you are not able to meet the requirements, poses a risk. But today the bigger risk on environment comes in the form of significant challenge that we face when we look at climate change. Climate change, I am sure that most of the people have heard of it today. And the kind of expectation the leadership, the government of India has demonstrated, the awareness level has definitely gone up. So the climate change is an imminent threat that not only poses a threat in terms of my generation, but it can impact my next generation, my son, our sons and our daughters. Their lives are at stake. It's an issue which is for the next 100 years we are going to face the consequences. So if we can do something today, we must do that today because time is running out. That's a place, I think the most pressing challenge that we face globally is on the environment, that is climate change. And then there are local impacts. Local impacts comes in the form of, if you look at Himachal Pradesh, there are flash floods. These are happening because of the pressure on nature, because the business has been growing in a manner which nature possibly is not able to accept. Sometimes they are blaming on the development that is happening to harness energy through hydro. These projects, many factors are there, but we have to live with that. How can we address them better is something we should do think about. I'm expecting all of you are from Jharkhand, majority of you are from Jamshedpur. I'm not sure whether you know that this summer we did not see a summer, and it is global warming. Global warming means temperatures going up. But this summer, I'm sure that majority of you have experienced the temperatures were not hovering at 45 degrees centigrade anymore. Doesn't mean that climate change is not happening. It is happening, and that's why we are seeing these kind of disruptions. Once you are seeing a temperatures at 35 to 38 degrees centigrade this summer, also followed with a 2000 millimeter plus annual rainfall. This is a region we get normally 1200 millimeter of rainfall, max 1500. But that's what we have seen. I think in the last 20 years, the highest rainfall has been seen in Jamshedpur is 2025 till now. And still rainfall is happening. So I'm sure we will set a record which is very difficult to surpass, but I'm sure with the climate change, very shortly we might overcome that. What we should prepare for? This is an early warning. Other indicator that we are associating with the climate change is in our infrastructure, whether it is our home, our flats, company quarters, everything is under stress. Water level rising, you must have seen videos where water level has crossed the level where possibly 3 feet, 4 feet, and it has disrupted our properties, it has caused huge problems. Sometimes development work is being singled out as a single factor, but ultimately rainfall did not happen because of the development work. Development work will continue to happen, the climate change is happening. Each one of our house buildings, we are seeing the walls are forming wet, damp areas. We never saw that in the past. This is a region which is dry. This is the first year we are seeing that. What is in store for us? If you can remember, those of you who were there in 2010 in Jamshedpur, we saw rainfall of 510 millimeter, 560 millimeter. That's the range. Within a 5 to 10 kilometers radius, we are seeing a rainfall between 500 to 550 millimeter compared to 1500 or 1200 millimeter annually, which this year is 2000. Be preparing at individual levels. We have to be preparing for a rainfall like that or maybe lower in next 2 to 3 years time, because weather patterns are changing quite sharply. So business has to get ready. So at individual level, if you go back, I'm dead sure each business requires water, and this water will go short. In next 2 to 3 years time, it will go short. And of course, over a period of time, this stress will increase. The demand and supply gap will continue to increase. Sometimes you will get so much of water which you don't need. This is the year when it is happening that. And unfortunately, we are not able to store that water. This potable grade water is going into the river and then going into the sea. This water shortfall will be causing a calamity in next couple of years time, and at the business level, we should go back, discuss what can we do. There are technologies available to conserve water. There are practices available to reuse the water. So that's the impact of environment which you can bring, look at it, anticipate the risk and prepare the business to face that risk. So on environment, there are several challenges. One of the biggest challenges I discussed, along with the statutory requirements, the expectations of the stakeholders, that's the area that we need to keep on consciously discuss. And at each business level, I am sure there are unique challenges that you have in hand, whether it is about the waste disposal, whether it is about the waste storage, air pollution, liquid discharge are the problems that we have in hand. Getting into the societal issues are just not safety, just not employment. It is also about how do you pacify the local community, make sure that they are more safe, they are healthy, and they are satisfied with the business. If the community wants that this business is delivering value to me in terms of wealth, in terms of earning, in terms of economic boost, they will be having open arms to welcome you. But if they are having a suspicion that you are polluting too much or might be operating such an hazardous atmosphere where people are getting injured, they will not form a good opinion about you. It just not stays at the community level, but it also goes into the situation where the HR managers today faces a challenge of talent acquisition. So talent acquisition, the right kind of talent acquisition for the right skills, sometimes the degrees don't help. Sometimes it's the skill that matters. How are you going to retain them in a place where you see a 2000 millimeter rainfall, in the ground floor, the flat has been completely flooded and the beds are completely, every asset is ruined. That's a place is not to live with. This is a connectivity you don't have. So how do you prepare? Are the challenges. These are part of the societal challenges. And we are off late. I think the last 20 years, people are now advising us to look at diversity. Diversity just not about religion, just not about the gender, but also about qualification, thought. The people of different thoughts, they should come together and they become very productive if they work in a team to support the business. If you have unique minded people, for example, 5 environment guys driving a business, they might be very good for the environment, but may not be very good for the business. Because you are only taking care of the environment and may not be competent enough to take care of the business efficiencies and the productivities. So if different skilled people, mix of genders, today we are talking about, whether it is at the shop floor level to the board level. Board level people are mandating, the government has mandated board level participation of ladies. But it's just to nudge the companies, bring in more gender. The moment you see the diversity, you will automatically go into that direction. But with these challenges comes, how do you optimize the skill mix? How do you avoid post related hazards? So those are all societal challenges. And if you keep that in mind, you can address them. But if you don't keep in mind, that means you will never be able to identify the vulnerability and the risk that is associated with that. So at the very beginning we said that we run a business, we participate in the business, creating wealth, delivering products, delivering services, and now I am started talking about something which looked like government should take care. But it is not just the government who can take care of these things, it has to be the business who are having the biggest connect with the mass. If we participate in this manner, in a conscious manner, I think the business will be sustaining much more. And that's where the definition of sustainability came in. Definition of sustainability was, I think, very old. But this word sustainability started gaining momentum somewhere around maybe 1980s. And they started talking about you have to take care of both environment and societal as well as the economic. So economic, planet, profit, and people, planet, profit. 3 P's defined what is sustainability has to take care. But we have to be very clear. I hope you will understand when I say in 3 circles representing the 3 dimensions of sustainability, that's called people, profit, and planet. In a Venn diagram, there is a common area which represents all the 3 pillars: people, profit, and planet. That means that's the place, if you operate, that's called sustainable space. Rest all are remaining either environment, may not be of economic value, may be of societal value. Like these complex combinations are there. So sustainability is not equal to environment. Sustainability is to progress towards a balanced manner to address your business challenges, financial challenges, economic challenges, environmental challenges, and societal challenges, and they are defined into 3 specific categories of environment, society, and economic. So on these 3 P, there were something called, the people who are in the finance and some people who are interested in looking at the company's financial profitability, they know there is some term called bottom line. And then John Elkelton came and he defined something called triple bottom line. He talked about all the 3 together at just defining sustainability in a way that's called triple bottom line. And thereafter, I think around middle of 2004, 2005, United Nations introduced the term called ESG, very appropriately, because it was realized that unless business integrates societal and environmental issues with the investments, the investors, the capital market, nothing is going to change. So in today's world, I think post 2015, there is an uprising in the globe, across the globe, driven by TNFD, where the CFOs of large corporations are driving non-financial initiatives. TCFD is something called Task Force on Climate-Related Disclosures, non-financial disclosures. So TCFD is anything to do with how do you identify climate-related risks, how do you present that to your board, how do you track, act, so that stakeholders know you are acting in a progressing manner and stay transparent. That's the framework TCFD gives us. If that is best understood by the CFO, that's the half of the battle won, because majority of the times the finance people do not appreciate even the efficiency factors. Forget about the environment or societal factors. The moment these things comes in, that's great. So the challenge is, how do you integrate these three? And as I said, there is no soft spot. And that's where comes in the factor called, with the help of high diversity, bring in the efficient engine called governance. Governance is something which the leadership, teams, on a separate teams, dealing with different things, thinking about different things together. It's an engine, it's not a unique structure. It's not a MD, ED, GM structure. It's the governance which defines processes, which talks about challenges, does the risk assessment, checks what can be done to avoid these risks, what are the costs to mitigate those risks. If those risks plays out, what is the cost to the business? What is the contingency plan? And then prioritize them. So the governance is the driving machine for the business. And once you have that, the business has got a strategy to deal with financials, societal, as well as environmental issues. So ESG is extremely important. And today, in today's world, if we are not looking at ESG, I'm not saying everybody has to be a specialist on ESG, but each one of us should be able to appreciate what is the merit of ESG, what is the merit of staying in the intersection of people, profit and planet to remain sustainable. If we can manage that, we'll do well for our family, for our business, for our community, for our nation as a whole. It is 2045, 2047, we are looking at 100 years of our celebration, and government expects us to do very well. And each one of us can contribute to that significant milestone of achieving or celebrating that 100 years. We are also committed to our 2070 net zero target as India. I'm talking about India. As Tata Steel, we have got different targets. When I'm talking about 2070, it's an Indian target to achieve a net zero. It's not going to be easy. I'm sure that everyone in this hall knows that. But I'm not sure, is there one person who has got a vision how to achieve that 2070? That's a collective vision has to come in. And just today's practices and technologies is not going to deliver you the net zero. There has to be innovation, there has to be research, there has to be program, support, collaboration. So at the heart of everything, this transformation, that celebration is innovation. The more we innovate, the more we collaborate, we facilitate innovation, and the more we collaborate, innovate, we can achieve a result which should be great. So let's look at the positive aspects of the challenges ahead. Don't get threatened by the risks. If you are aware that this risk can happen, you can also take an action to avoid that risk. But if you don't look at the risk, they might hit you badly. So let's look at the risks. Let's look at the ESG. Use the governance mechanism, and that governance mechanism, of course, is not exactly at individual's hand, but as a business representative collectively, you hold the key to create a governance mechanism in the business which can drive the strategy, we can drive the roadmap, create your ambition, create the KPIs. How do you measure Today there are regulatory challenges coming up, PRSR, CBAM. All these can be addressed to multiple preparedness. For that, the right governance is very, very critical. That's why ESG is there. We'll be happy to take a question later on. So that's why I thank you for patiently listening to me. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Datta. I saw the body language of all the audience, and actually it was not a speech, it was a very effective training you gave. A very clear message to all the audience that how and why ESG has become such a critical and important aspect of our, not our profession, our life as well. You well said, Mr. Datta, that now each of us should appreciate ESG. Your one punchline is really effective, 3P, people, plant, and there is no need to say. So that is why I told that this speech was highly effective, and you gave some very live example that the change which every citizen of Jamshedpur has observed about the rain, the volume of rain, the frequency of rain. So it's clear indication that how ESG has become a high time critical aspect of our life. So I would like to request all our guests to give him a big hand and a big round of applause. Now it's time to invite on the dais, we call him as symbol of sustainability. And he is none other than one of the effective associate of Quality Austria, Mr. Hardeep Grewal. As a Chief Sustainability Officer, Mr. Grewal leads the ESG drive at Quality Austria Central Asia. He has enjoyed a professional career that spans so many decades, 30 years to be precise, and it's going on. And he carries a portfolio packed with versatile experience. He has spent a good part of his professional life, as I told, close to 4 decades, working as grassroots or base levels, advocacy for human and labor rights, or for mitigating climate change and preserving the planet are the subject where he punched the hardest. He is postgraduate in engineering from IIT Kharagpur. So without wasting my time, I would request Mr. Hardeep Grewal to come on the dais.
1 minute, sir.
Thank you, Janji, for that nice introduction. I hope I'm audible at the back. Thank you. So, Mr. Datta has made the thing easier for me in a way that he has sort of, I come closer? Yeah, okay. He has actually brought us down and asked us to take care of all the 3 P's together, that is profits, the planet, and people, and find out a way to conduct business that sustains the planet over a long time for generations to come. I will talk of things that will probably add to the I'll probably talk of things that make you pessimistic about certain things, but that is unavoidable, as he said, that if that is reality, it has to be faced head on. You just need to catch the bull by the horns, and there's no avoiding it. So we will be focused on 3 things. In the first part of this presentation, I will explore how we are moving towards a net zero in 2050. And that is where I do not share a lot of optimism, despite all the good work that's being done. We will also get into the second question, that what is ESG from a business point of view? Why should businesses be interested in ESG as businesses? Not from an altruistic perspective that do good because you're part of the world, but even from a business point of view, ESG makes a lot of sense, and that is something that I would like to explore in this talk. And if we give an answer that is yes, businesses should go ahead with it, then we tackle the last part of it, that is how we can go about it. So let's start here. I'm showing you a slide which begins somewhere a century and a quarter back, and it shows you the level of emissions that are going up and up despite everything happening. And why I say that, because this line is roughly 1988. That is where the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was set up, and it has contributed a lot to raising awareness about climate change and the need for tackling climate change. But despite the coming into being of the IPCC, the trajectory of emissions has continued more or less the way it has in the past. This graph is not a very encouraging graph, because if you project it further, it just tends to go there. And that is not a very safe space for the world to be in. Why is that so? We can probably learn a few things from history. And I'll take you on a small journey over there. We have been through, let's say 4 energy transitions. We started off, say, about 2 million years back as a species that learned to handle fire. And we've been with wood as a source of energy for about more than 99% of our journey through the existence on the earth. We started shifting. That's the general perception, that we shifted from wood to coal. That's the first transition that people talk of. The second transition that people talk of is from coal to oil. Then they say oil to gas. And then there's a lot of talk about another transition happening, that is from all kinds of fossil fuels to renewables. Unfortunately, this very linear understanding of the whole thing is not the way history has operated so far, and it's unlikely that things will happen that way. I'm just sharing what I have, on that. How old is coal? It's not, hardly 3 centuries old. It comes into the whole picture, and you have people using coal, but it becomes the prominent form of energy just in the beginning of the previous century. So wood and coal overlap for a long time, and wood still retains its place. If you go to the next one, the shift from coal to oil did not actually happen when oil was discovered. Oil was discovered more than 175 years back, and it's just, I mean, in roughly in 1960 when it becomes the prominent form of energy. What happens to coal? The consumption of coal does not come down. It is actually multiplied over that period of time along with oil. So you're burning wood, you're burning coal, and you're burning oil. Then you have gas. Gas doesn't replace any of them. It just adds to the energy that is being used up. Is there a chance, and that is what the whole world is trying to do, that move away from all these four onto the last one out there? So you move away from all these four and get on to this, the renewables. What are the chances? The chances, at least as of now, are not very strong. Despite all talk about net zero in 2050 at the level of the planet, at the net zero in 2070 for commitment that our government has done. Just take a look at this thing that I'm showing you. This is the general split at the moment in the way we are consuming energy. This will not add up to 100 because I have not put nuclear over here. If you look at that column over there, the things that I have marked in red are things that are bad for the planet, and they're growing. They're still growing. Over the last, this period, that is 213 to, what is welcome is this good growth over here, but it still just amounts to 12%. If you add wood to it, it comes to 15%. Wood has come down, and probably the strong reason for that may not be that people have become wiser. It's just that wood as a resource has shrunk. You do not have that amount of wood to burn as a source of fuel. So it is not one form of source of energy being replaced by another. It's more of a pile that has happened. If history were to teach us anything, it would ask for more prudence than what exists in the world today and what we practice. We are in for bad times. Let's face that reality. It's not a situation that's going to improve easily, and that's what he was trying to caution us on. It's going to take a lot of effort to get there. And it's going to take a lot of effort from all kinds of stakeholders, starting from the government to business leaders, to communities, and people from all walks of life. Why is this important? Because of this region. This is about average temperatures, and the more you go there towards the right side, you have hotter places. This is about a change in rainfall. Mr. Datta was talking about an extreme weather event that is happening all over the country. At this point of time, I do not have any data or any information about what's happening in Cherrapunji, but we definitely do have a lot of information about what's happening in a place like Jamshedpur, or what's happening in Delhi, or what's happening in Punjab. And we are in for a lot more increase in precipitation, and the simple reason for that is that if the earth gets warmer, it's going to pick up more moisture from the oceans and from all kinds of water bodies, and it's going to rain a hell lot more. And unfortunately, our cities, our systems across the world are not designed to handle that. where you have a lot of annual precipitation happening. If you can see this graph, the likelihood of 1 year droughts is what this thing, this graph of the world indicates. This is an extreme storm that happens 1 in 100 years, and that's also not very good for what the situation is in the world today. So beyond these kind of gloomy things, what this is the central message that we should carry from this hall, that it's not about philanthropy, it's not about altruism. It is a lot about doing business in a way that you grow as businesses and the planet also survives. Let's get into this main question. Is ESG a return on the investment? Talking of the short term, 2 years. If you talk of the short term, there is no way that we can convince our chief financial officers to spend money on ESG, because it's just an investment in the short term. It's very difficult to convince him on that. If we were to talk in the medium term and in the long term, we do have good logic to convince the CFOs why an investment in ESG should be made. This is something that was picked up from a study conducted for the top 200 among the big companies in the world. They went to the Kaizen Institute in partnership with the World Economic Forum, went, talked to people, conducted a good survey, and the results are that the reason for investing in ESG for companies that are doing good, the regulatory compliance is a small thing. It's just 31%. The main thing is that there is brand reputation at stake if you're not doing good ESG. There is customer demand for good ESG. And there are investor expectations for good ESG. So if you want to thrive in business, and we want to go ahead with that, then it does make us a lot of sense to invest in ESG and talk about the benefits of ESG over the medium term or over the long term. This is one thing. I'll just mention 3 strong arguments that can be placed before a CFO, and this is one of them. That investing in ESG helps you be ready for transitions in a volatile world. That there's no doubt on the volatility that is there in the world. It helps you on that count. The other reason is that there are places in the world where there is a lot of demand for sensitivity to ESG. And if you want to make inroads into those markets, places like Europe and other sensitive places in the world, South Korea, Japan, you would be better off making investments in ESG. The last thing is that it helps you stand out in the competition because you're able to differentiate yourself on the basis of what you're doing in ESG. How do we do that? I am again going to talk of just 3 things. And this information again comes from studies that have been done. It's not just me saying it as an individual or another gentleman saying that as an individual. It's based on studies. The problem with implementing ESG is that the biggest thing is that employees in companies are not engaged in ESG because they appreciate it very less, they understand it very less, and there's no point in blaming people if they cannot do something that they don't understand. This 26% should burn the ears of top management in any company. because this is top management's responsibility to set very clear, tangible targets that can be achieved. And if those targets cannot be achieved in ESG, then there are problems that if you add up this 26% to that 48%, I think you have covered 3/4 of the issue that relates to ESG. That top management is not involved in ESG in the way it is, and that employees are not involved in ESG in the way they are. And this is not result. These are not results from a company that is a medium level company in India. These are results based on a survey of the top top companies in the world, and they picked up 200 of them, and then they went about and asking questions and understanding what's happening. So we need to ensure employee buy-in in some way. Training, adequate training, effective training is one of the most important things that needs to be done if you want to have a company that is using ESG to grow as a company, as a business. There's another problem, and that is that when companies go about doing ESG, engaging in ESG, what happens is that it is a huge field. And when you get into it, you understand that this is something that I can do, that is something that I can do, that is something that I can do, and you start cherry picking on a lot of things. You do good work, but you do not achieve as much as you can if you had an integrated plan. So another important thing is that even when I go about, I meet companies, I find this, even in a small audit, if you go in and do an ESG audit, you understand that they do not have any integrated plan for what they're doing. They do things because some people like something. People in influence in the company like something, and therefore they do it. You would come across companies that do not have an energy balance. They don't understand what they're doing with their energy, but they're just still engaging in some amount of energy saving in some places. You would come across companies that have never drawn up a water balance, what they're doing with their water. And that would be the first point where you should be actually starting off in order to develop a comprehensive, integrated plan where you can deliver more with little. So if it's a company that wants to do good ESG, then this is the second thing that it needs to take care of. It needs to have an integrated plan to work on the ESG. So this is just a quote, and this is a quote from, again, a study, and it's not a single study in this case. This is, they picked up 2000 empirical studies, and then they tried to put the results together and understand. And when they went into things at that broad level, they could figure out that a lot of failure is because the terminology is not clear, the concepts are not clear. So again, the education that is required is not there. And when the education that is required is not there, the kind of comprehensive, integrated planning that can deliver good results is missing. Yes, this is something that most of us understand much better, because it makes sense to have suppliers who are doing good ESG themselves. Because if you are supplied with materials and services by companies that are good on their ESG, you can thrive as a business. So it makes a lot of sense to choose wisely. I would like to conclude with another thing, that is talk of tools that we can use, and we do use. Everybody sitting in this room is conversant with one of these things, maybe many of these things. You're practicing many of those things. So, but it doesn't make things go wrong if we were to reiterate a few things. One is, why should the This thing is not working. Okay. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is a body that has sensitized people to ESG, the environmental aspect of ESG in a big way. And one great reason for that is that it has 3,000 of the foremost climate scientists on its working for the IPCC. They don't do any research themselves. They integrate whatever research exists and they produce these reports, and these reports are extremely educative for the world, and these reports have been influential in sensitizing politicians, business leaders, and all kinds of people. The IPCC gives you a lot of support if you would like to engage in ESG work, at least for the environmental dimension of it. We've talked about the European Union being a place where you need to adjust because of the demands of ESG out there. So if you are a supplier, my colleague who will be speaking after me would go in more depth, but if you are going to be a supplier supplying to Europe and you're supplying more than 50 tons of material, you need to be CBAM ready on 1st January 2026. If you are not there, you should assume that you are moving out of the European market. You have to be CBAM ready on 1st January 2026, and it's just 4 months away, less than 4 months away. We have our own business responsibility and sustainability reporting system, a framework that the Government of India has instituted. SEBI actually was the agency that has brought this thing forward. We have the GRI, we have the ISO, and I'll just rush through the remaining 2 slides because a lot of you would be conversant with many of these ISO standards. And I'll just focus on how we as an organization, that is Quality Austria Central Asia, can hold hands with anybody. Before I move into the points, let me just communicate one thing, that no organization is too small for us and no organization is too big for us. We hold everybody's hand with conviction and with responsibility. What can we do? The first thing that we can do is help you assess the gaps that exist, the risks that exist, engage in a materiality assessment. That's part 1. The next thing that we can do is that we can help you choose an appropriate framework. Out of the many that I was showing you earlier, because the framework needs to fit your business needs in the first place. It should help you meet the expectations of your clients and your customers. It should help you be responsive to your compliance requirements. And it should also help you feel that you're doing good for the planet. It should come with that kind of satisfaction also. So you need to be responsible in choosing a framework, and it should not be like a hungry man that he walks into this room and then he just, the first bit of food that he sees, he starts eating that. It shouldn't be that way. So we will go further beyond that, beyond the choice of a framework. We can hold hands and work with you to implement that framework. There are reportings that are required at certain levels. You may need to report on your carbon dioxide that your goods are carrying when they're going into Europe. So you may need to report on CBAM. You may need to report on to the Government of India under BRSR. You may need to report under GRI, whatever framework you would like to, we can help out on that. We do help out with verifications and validations. If somebody has a plan and would like to get it validated and say that whether it's a good plan, yes, we do that validation. You have a report and you would like certain things to be verified, that whether it's a correct report and the right kind of thing, we go in for that. And the last thing that we do, and we do with a lot of zeal, is that we engage in trainings, and we engage in trainings of all kinds. We engage in trainings as little as half-day trainings, to trainings much bigger, 3-day trainings, 4-day trainings. We engage in trainings that are online trainings. We engage in trainings that are in-person trainings, where a guy like me comes and talks to you about things that we do. And as I said earlier, trainings are the most important part, because companies are weak in that aspect of their thing. So, and that brings me to the end of this. It's not just for tree huggers, as generally people believe. It's for ESG is for business guys. So thank you very much. And
Thank you, Mr. Abdeep Grewal. Your speech included lot of things, the guidelines, how to do, what to do, where to do. You gave a very, very clear picture, and you also enlightened the whole audience that how Quality Austria can support. Thank you very much for your speech. Now it's a time to call, we can say, the man of transformation in Quality Austria. He is not only a man of transformation, he is one of the founders, he is shareholder, and he is chief operating officer, and that is Mr. Anil Chaube. Mr. Anil Chaube has 30 years of vast experience in leading organizations with an unrelenting focus on impact delivery aligned to strategic priorities. He has been enable employees from all across an organization to contribute in ways that directly improve an organization's overall operations, execution, and impact. He is passionate about sustainability and has handled several projects across his career. He has global exposure of having delivered assurance, training, and capacity building in Europe, Japan, Asian countries, USA, China, Philippines, and Middle East. He is an industrial engineer and has been few of the first Indian auditors to have undergone the transformational journey towards quality management system. More specifically in the automotive industry, where we belong to in the majority. So I would like to invite the man of transformation, Mr. Anil Chaube, on the dais to give his view about ESG. Mr. Anil Chaube.
Okay. I'll just take you through a small story. For the past about 250 years, we have done some of the largest scientific experiments in human history. And those experiments of what we have done tell us a lot of information. Since the advent of Industrial Revolution, we have burned close to about 1.5 trillion tons of carbon into the atmosphere. And that has changed the world as we see it now. We have now started experiencing those impacts which Mr. Datta was referring to in our very own city. And normally the wrong perception what we carry is, which he very clearly and very effectively conveyed, that global warming doesn't mean excessive heat. It means actually unpredictable, extreme weather conditions, which is very, very unpredictable. The melting of the world's snow and ice has already started to trigger multiple tipping points. And it has actually now started to threaten the existence of life on the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, we may all have our own sweet paradigm, and we may still continue to believe that this talk of climate change is not for us. And we may live in our paradigm. We have a choice that we may continue to live in this paradigm and continue to disbelieve the changes which are happening. But the fact of the matter remains that it's about time. And in fact, it is a race against time. If we do not act now, actually we are late. So it's about that we start working on them. So just to share you a few more data, because Mr. Datta spoke about it very clearly. He explained in fact, in his speech, he integrated the ESG in probably a very perfect manner. And just to share a few data, because this drive of studying climate not started today. It started from somewhat 300 years ago. But we as humans and we as individuals have just continued to ignore the fact which our scientists and the researchers are telling us. Even Kyoto Protocol happened in 1997, if I'm correct. 1997, the Kyoto Protocol happened. Nothing changed. They had in a Kyoto Protocol, the target decided was that we would reduce our emissions by average about 5% till 2012 over 1990 levels. Actually, Kyoto Protocol was put into existence, although decided in 1997, only in 2007, and nothing changed. By then, the climate had already taken its changed part of its course. When the scientists gave us, actually what happened was that somewhere around 2012, the scientists gave us a budget, which they called it as a carbon budget. They told us that somewhere around before the Industrial Revolution, somewhere around 1850, the ppm of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere was only about 280 ppm. And somewhere around in 2010, this rose to 410. And they told us that if this rise continues, and if it touches somewhere around 600, 650, large chunks of ice would melt. And if it touches about 700, 750, 800, we would not have any ice left in Greenland, in Arctic. And the sea levels would rise by about 100 meters. You imagine if the sea level rises about 100 meters, kya bachega? So, as I said, it is our choice. We can choose to continue to live in our paradigm, and जैसे यहाँ पे इस पिक्चर में हमने दिखाया था कि भाई एक सिर्फ शिप चल रही है और उसमें लोग बैठे हुए हैं, दे आर एंजॉइंग लाइफ, दे आर एंजॉइंग द वेदर कंडीशंस, सन इज शाइनिंग, बट एक्चुअली ऐसा है नहीं. The things are changing. Mr. Datta explained us very nicely about sustainability, because sustainability is not about, or it does not equal to 1:1 on environment. And he mentioned about 3P, the planet, the profit and the people. I would try to explain it in a slightly different manner. Planet के बारे में तो हमने बात कर ली, because planet's existence is in stake. And in 2017, when the Paris Agreement started, when Paris Agreement happened, they gave us a budget of 2 degrees centigrade rise, maximum of 2 degrees centigrade rise as compared to the pre-industrial levels. And by about 2023, we are already at 1.5. That means, जब हमने 2015 में डिसाइड किया था कि 2050 तक जो टेम्परेचर 2 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड से ज्यादा नहीं बढ़ने देंगे, in 2023 we were already about 1.5. So we are not on the right route. We saw in that graph as well. We continue to emit about 40 gigatons of carbon every year, and the budget is from 2025 is negligible. We only are having a budget of about 400 gigatons. So it's about 100 years, which Mr. Datta said that ये बात अब बहुत लंबी नहीं है. It's for our children to experience what we are discussing today. We में हम लोग कह सकते हैं कि हम लोग बच जाएंगे, but not our children, not our grandchildren for sure. So planet तो काफी बात हो गई, but हमारे लिए, because अगर हम अपना oblivion छोटा कर दें थोड़ा सा कि ये हमारे लिए नहीं है, तो अगर हमको फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, मेरे बच्चे जो हैं देखेंगे वो अपना समझ लेंगे. और पीपल एंड प्लैनेट के बारे में अगर हम लोग बात कर लें एज अ सस्टेनेबिलिटी, फॉरगेट द प्लैनेट. इन दी not long ago, I would like to use the word once upon a time. Once upon a time, we used to say that business as usual was considered to be good, but the times have changed now, and business as usual is no longer good. In fact, it is dead. At times when everything is excellent, everybody is excellent, and the race is on perfection or being perfect, where do we stand with our mediocrity? There is no place for mediocrity right now. Forget in the future. So where are we sustainable? Forget the planet, forget carbon, forget the water level rising of 100 meters. To be sustainable today, we have to move out of mediocrity to excellence and perfection. And this applies to the people as well, and the people and the organization both. Whatever we are doing, if it is repeatable, it will be digitized and automated. All those jobs which are repetitive would no longer exist. What would exist and what would remain would then become extremely valuable. Something like imagination, creativity. So we all professionals, managers, management, MDs, CEOs, whatever. We may have designations and positions, but we need to introspect is that are we doing something which is not repetitive? Because if it is repetitive, then we won't exist, and that will happen in a very short time. Technology will take over and we would not exist. So forget climate, forget water, forget carbon. Sustainable hone ke liye we will have to evolve, and we will have to change and make ourselves relevant. We will have to ask ourselves whether it is an individual or an organization, that are we relevant to the current context? If not, then we would not remain sustainable. Or Mr. Datta, you mentioned about profit as well, and you very clearly, very nicely mentioned that it is very difficult to explain even efficiencies to the CFO. I like that point. And because in a normal working environment, we as individual, as professionals, as quality people, as operation people, find a very tough time to push an idea of investment of any investment to a CEO, CFO, forget something about carbon. But if you are not profitable, you cannot exist. Forget climate again. अगर हम profitable नहीं रहेंगे तो organization नहीं रहेगी, हम नहीं रहेंगे, मेरी job नहीं रहेगी. So we have to remain profitable. But हम profitable कैसे रहेंगे? Profitable सोचने से तो profitable नहीं हो पाएंगे. And we have been in automotive industry. I think जहाँ पे हम लोग बैठे हुए हैं यहाँ पे, I am from an automotive industry. I have served in automotive industry for 20 years, even more. Now about 25 years with automotive industry, total of my 34 years of existence in working culture. Automotive industry, we say that it's a cruel industry. Tata Motors को हम serve करते हैं. Tata Motors would be asking 2% of year on year cost reduction every year. हम कहाँ से लाएंगे? Cost increase की बात छोड़ दीजिए. There is always a cost reduction pressure. Manpower cost is going up. Everything is going up. Cost of living is going up. So 2% कहाँ से लाएंगे? We have to understand. I'm not talking about climate anymore. I'm talking about business. We have to understand that we as owners, we as MDs, we as CEOs, CFOs, we are in the business of making money. We are investing money to make money. So why shy away from investing something which is of long term? Why to be so narrow focused, blindfolded of looking only 1 year in advance? जिसको हम लोग normally in financial language we say short term investment. We say short term investment जिसका return 1 साल में आ जाता हो. If the return comes in 1 year, we are very happy. CFO बोलता है लगा लो पैसे. लेकिन जैसे ही 3 साल की बात आती है, I'm sorry if any CFO sitting here, यहाँ 3 साल की इन्वेस्टमेंट की बात आती है रिटर्न की, वो फाइल पुश होना बड़ा डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है. But with the existence is at stake, we will have to change the way we think. And one of the key challenges is that अगर हमारा कस्टमर हमको कह रहा है कि we have to change our approach and align ourselves to the requirements which he has defined for himself, and we are not aligned to what the customer says, then what's the fun of being in that business? हमें component manufacturing क्यों कराएगा वो हमसे? Because there will be somebody else meeting his requirement, making a product as excellent which I am making it more efficient probably, and aligning to his sustainability goals. Is it not very logical? वो हमसे क्यों लेगा? और हमसे नहीं लेगा तो हमारा बिजनेस बंद हो जाएगा. प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी की तो बात छोड़िए, we will not remain sustainable, we will not exist. So do we have an option? I'm not talking about water level of 100 meters anymore. हमारे पास ऑप्शन ही नहीं है. Tata Motors have Tatas and Tata Steel and Tata. I'm sure this aligns to the Tata Steel sustainability goal as well. They have defined that by 2040, Tata Motors has said that they want to be net zero for the passenger vehicles. हम में से कौन लोग passenger vehicles के साथ हैं? Not a lot. Commercial vehicle is still easier. It is 2045. So Tata has said that by 2045 commercial vehicle net zero होगा. So अगर passenger vehicle section 2040 तक net zero होना चाहता है और हम as a component industry उनको जो serve कर रहे हैं, we are not thinking about aligning ourselves to the goal which Tata has, and we are dependent on, I'm not saying 100%, but if we are dependent largely on Tata, it's a food of thought. Do we exist? Are we sustainable? इसमें कार्बन कहाँ है? कस्टमर की नीड है, कस्टमर की डिमांड है, इसमें कार्बन का कोई रोल नहीं. अब कस्टमर ये रख रहा है क्योंकि इंडिया ने अपना एनडीसी बनाया. We have declared as India, we have declared our national contribution, and we have said that we want to be net zero by 2070. So since India has aligned ourselves, all the major OEMs have aligned themselves. They say that we also contribute, and most of the OEMs have declared something around Mahindra and Mahindra has declared 2040, if I am correct. Hyundai has said 2045, so and so on and so forth. So we don't have an option. तो planet है, तो profit है. प्रॉफिट रहेगा तो भी हम रहेंगे, हमारे जैसे सीईओ और हमारे जैसे एमडी, हमारे जैसे सीएफओ एग्जिस्ट करेंगे जब ये कंपनी चलती रहेगी. सो टू इन ऑर्डर टू मेक इट रन, ये तो कंपोनेंट की डिमांड है. अगर कस्टमर कहता है कि भाई मुझे टॉलरेंस आपको बना के देना है 5 माइक्रोन में, तो इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ व्हाटएवर टूल यू वांट टू यूज, यू मे बी यूजिंग मतलब हाई स्पीड स्टील पहले. अब हाई स्पीड स्टील से नहीं चलेगा काम भाई अगर 5 माइक्रोन के टॉलरेंस में बना के देना है तो फिर हमें कुछ डिफरेंट टूल लगाने पड़ेंगे. वी विल हैव टू गो टू डायमंड टूल्स और मे बी एनी एम्बेडेड टूल्स. वी विल हैव टू हैव बोरिंग्स, वी विल हैव टू हैव नॉर्मल कैप्स्टन लेथ पे नहीं चलेगा काम. वी विल हैव टू हैव बीएमसीज. सो डिपेंडिंग ऑन द कस्टमर नीड आवर इन्वेस्टमेंट चेंजेस. सो इट्स टाइम दैट वी अलाइन आवरसेल्व्स टू द कस्टमर. नाउ इट्स सो सिंपल एज दैट. हमारा टाटा मोटर्स कहता है कि हमारा वाटर मैनेजमेंट जो है वो हम न्यूट्रल होना चाहते हैं बाय 2030. हम में से कितने लोग वाटर न्यूट्रल की बात सोच रहे हैं? वी फील एंड सब, आई एम सो हैप्पी दैट यू मेंशन्ड दिस पॉइंट एज वेल, दैट it's not long that we will have water shortage. We will, and in fact it is said, it is all agreed that the next world war, if Trump continues, pardon me for saying that, if Trump continues, it may the next world war may not still wait till the water scarcity. It can have even sooner for different reasons. But if that does not happen, it is generally believed that the next world war would happen on water. जबकि हम कह रहे हैं कि सी लेवल 100 मीटर से बढ़ने वाला है. हम नहीं कह रहे, मैं नहीं कह रहा हूं. The scientists have said that. So whatever data मैं शेयर कर रहा हूं आपके साथ, it's all on the public space. You can just Google and you'll find it readily available. पहले पेज पे ही आ जाएगा वो डेटा. Now Google has an AI also. So it's all there. तो अगर हम अपना वाटर बैलेंस नहीं श्योर कर रहे हैं और कस्टमर की अलाइनमेंट के साथ अपने आप को नहीं अलाइन करेंगे, सो विद वेयर इज द पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ बीइंग सस्टेनेबल. फॉरगेट अबाउट अगेन कार्बन. एंड जस्ट दिस इज एन इंफॉर्मेशन दैट दिस इज बीइंग ड्रिवन थ्रू द आलिंगन इनिशिएटिव जो टाटा ने अलाइन किया है. एम आई मेकिंग सेंस? We may be also serving to several other OEMs other than Tata, some of us, if not all. Now, if you are entering into any global RFQs in the automotive industry, I'm sure, I hope that many of us may be entering into global RFQs. If you enter into global RFQs, you would not, many of the clients now are not allowing to participate in an RFQ if you do not have an EcoVadis rating. और हम लोगों को शायद बहुत लोगों को, pardon me for being direct, but actually the fact of the matter remains that EcoVadis के बारे में हम लोगों को, बहुत लोगों को कुछ भी नहीं पता. We don't know. If you want to participate in global RFQs now, still Indian OEMs they are not demanding. But the global RFQs, the global OEMs are asking whether your material which you are going to propose as a component which will fit into my car, is it sustainable? Is it recyclable? Does it support circularity? Are we thinking about it? हमको ये लगता है, problem is that we as an auto component, I've been an auto component manufacturer for, as I said, 25 years. हमके ये लगता है, as when we are an auto component manufacturer, we feel that the design has to come from the customer, and we are supposed to build to the print. That's the standard automotive terminology, that we build to print. अरे बाबा, अगर somebody else, as I said, if everybody, even everybody is excellent, how do I differentiate myself? If I am not proactive enough, I am not collaborating with the customer to propose a design which is aiding circularity, somebody else will propose, and I can remain in my own paradigm and can be happy that मैं तो build to print कर रहा हूँ, भाई मेरे पास तो ये limited scope है, मुझे तो वही बनाना पड़ेगा जो customer के drawing में लिखा हुआ है. And as Mr. Datta said, that does anybody sitting here has a blueprint in mind कि 2070 में net zero कैसे हो जाएगा India? Nobody has it. It has to be a collaborative effort. And if we are not collaborative, if I am not collaborative, somebody else is collaborative, he will get the next RFQ. जब तक ये product, and we are in automotive industry, we know that changes in the automotive industry, the business does not immediately go out of hand. They wait for the model to end, because automotive industry does not want to invest very heavily in a new supplier for no reason. So एक मॉडल हमारे पास है, वो हम सप्लाई कर रहे हैं, नया मॉडल आएगा, हमें RFQ में पार्टिसिपेट नहीं करेंगे, नया मॉडल हमें मिलेगा नहीं. And it's happening. अगर if we are agile and we would see around us, we would see it happening everywhere. We talked about, if at all, sustainability is a cost. I would believe that it's common sense. That's how we have transitioned ourselves from a linear economy where thought was कि बनाओ, use करो और फेंक दो. And some of us, if who are aware about when we do the LCA, we talk about scope 1, scope 2 and scope 3. The scope 3 is about the end use, when हमारे part हमारे industry से बन के बाहर चले जाता है. Then how does it behave? What kind of carbon dioxide or what kind of carbon load does it carry as when it happens at the end of life? अगर circularity करेंगे, तो by the diagram itself, it gives me an indication that if I am able to reuse and recirculate my product, and able to eliminate my waste, whether it is in the form of an energy, whether it is in the form of a metal, whether it is in the form of a water, I save money. हम में से कितने लोगों ने अपने कंपनी में मेटल बैलेंस किया है? Can somebody come and share an experience here? Experience of doing a metal balance. I'm not talking about energy balance, बहुत ही पॉपुलर है. कितना माल हमने खरीदा, कितना माल हमने कस्टमर को बेचा, और बैलेंस कहां गया? That's waste. Some are design waste, which I don't want to again go into the theory of lean manufacturing. There are certain waste which are designed, which you cannot eliminate, that you can only eliminate by improving the design. But then there are certain waste which are clearly avoidable. Circular economies talks about all that. You see, the theory doesn't change. The basic theory of all management systems remain the same, whether it is a lean manufacturing, whether it is quality management system, whether it is TPM, they all talk the same theme. I'm not talking about carbon anymore. I'm talking about hardcore business now, to remain sustainable in the changing environment. I'm just trying to link the various aspects of being sustainable with the current changing environment, the current theme of ESG. हमारी governance इतनी poor है that we are not actually focusing on the balances, whether it is a water balance, whether it is an energy balance, whether it is a metal balance. Forget anything else. ये बैलेंस अपने आप में ही हमें काफी हद तक सर्कुलरिटी की तरफ ले जाता है. हम जब सर्कुलरिटी सुनते हैं, we get probably मतलब घबरा जाते हैं, हमें लगता है कि पता नहीं क्या बवाल आने वाला है. सर्कुलरिटी क्या चीज होती है? Circularity is nothing. Circularity as I'm trying to explain it in a very simple and a layman language, that circularity means जो आया वो हमारे पास ही घूमेगा, कहीं जाएगा नहीं. Which is again a goal which the Tata has taken. I don't know whether they've written here or not. They have a goal of waste management, zero waste to landfill. Tata says that we will have by 2030, we should attempt towards being circular. सो अगर टाटा कहता है कि सर्कुलर होना है, हम कहेंगे नहीं जी, हम तो वही बनाएंगे जो हम पहले बनाते थे. सो आई कंटिन्यू टू डू टुडे व्हाट आई वाज डूइंग यस्टरडे. I would expect the same result what I got yesterday today. Nothing will change. And if I continue to do what I'm doing today, tomorrow, I will get the same result which I got today. Am I making sense? So, circular economy is a very buzzword now. Circular economy means it starts from the design. And I'm very clear, मैंने बहुत ही अपने हिसाब से बड़ी सिंपल तरीके से बताया. It's no longer built to print. It is about collaborating and again going back to that statement Mr. Datta said that nobody, even नीति आयोग जो मतलब जो formulate कर रहे हैं policies, they are not also actually very clear कि 2070 तक कैसे ये हम net zero होंगे. Theories are there. They call it sequestering, wherein there are machines, to be very simple. There are machines which pulls carbon back from the atmosphere. But that is too big for us. हमारे लिए तो बहुत बड़ी बात है. हम वो तो कर सकते हैं जो हम करें. जो हम कर सकते हैं वो तो करें. हम वो मशीन तो बना नहीं सकते या बना नहीं रहे हैं जो कार्बन हवा से खींच लेगी. Machines are there. The theory is there. That's proven. And there are organizations which are building in that machine. We're talking about green hydrogen, we're talking about black hydrogen, gray hydrogen. Those are bombs which are being thrown in the market. Why should I get worried about that? I should worried about what my customer says to me. My customer says by 2030 तक हमको zero to landfill होना है. 2030 तक हमें अपना वाटर जो है वो सर्कुलरिटी पे लाना है. हम वो करें. Why should I get worried कि कार्बन एटमॉस्फेयर से कैसे वापस आएगा? ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन क्या होता है? Why should I get worried? I don't have an access to green hydrogen right now. Neither I have a facility or whether I have a factory which makes green hydrogen. So why should I get worried between a gray hydrogen and a green hydrogen? लोग सवाल पूछते हैं मुझसे, भाई ग्रे क्या हाइड्रोजन क्या होता है, ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन क्या होता है? Why should I get worried about that? मैं जो कर सकता हूं उसमें तो वरी हूं. So to make it simple, a circular economy is it's not about circular economy is basically reducing our waste. As long as we continually go on reducing our waste, we try to design our products which gets into, when it goes into its life cycle of end of life, it can again be reused. We will be hitting our circular economy and we will be able to meet the goal of our customer. Then we spoke about CBAM. I'm just trying to hit you on the key areas where businesses are getting impacted. हम में से कौन से ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से एक्सपोर्ट कर रही है यूरोप में? Somebody? You are exporting to Europe. Which part are you exporting? No. What is the component? It's iron, steel, aluminum, plastic. Iron, steel. So iron and steel and aluminum, the parts, the components are made of these two metal. You will not be able to export if Europe chooses to stick to the deadline of 1st January 26. You will not be able to export your parts made of iron, steel and aluminum if you are not a verified or you are not able to declare your carbon load in the product. And I was sharing with Datta Sahab that European Union started this journey in somewhere around 2004, correct sir? 2004, when they defined their carbon trading mechanism. हमारे यहाँ इंडिया में अभी भी कार्बन ट्रेडिंग नहीं हो रही है, but in Europe they started and they made substantial big, मतलब again I'm talking about business again. They made substantial progress in Europe in terms of carbon emissions. They say that they have said, not this, the data sets that they have reduced their carbon emissions by about 47%. उसका फायदा कैसे हुआ है, मतलब how did they achieve it? And broadly is that they have dumped all those products into countries like us. We benefited. We benefited. Sir, आप कुछ कह रहे हैं? जी. So they say, they claim, it's a fact that they call it fit for 55 till 2030. Fit for 55 at 30, that's what they say. That's the theme. So they say that by end of 2030, we would reduce our carbon emissions by 55%. They are already at 47. They have increased the target to 62 now. Okay, I thought somebody wants to share some, so I just stopped. So what हमारे जैसे कंट्रीज को फायदा हुआ, उन्होंने क्या किया कि जितनी कास्टिंग थी वो बाहर कर दी, जितने आयरन एंड स्टील था वो बाहर कर दिया. They went primarily into assembly, and they reduced the carbon. The load came to us. So it was a joint kind of give and take, mutual beneficial status. We benefited. So they realized that भाई ये तो दिक्कत हो गई. Fit for 55 is actually गधा बनाने वाली बात, pardon me. So they introduced this logic of CBAM. The first date was 1st January 25, correct Pankaj? Initially it was 25, they extended by 1 year, now it is 26. So they said that okay, बाहर से अगर आप product खरीद के ला रहे हैं, the European Union told to their major suppliers that if your product अगर बाहर से खरीद के लाते हैं into Europe, so you have to declare the carbon load which the product has, and that will be added to your total carbon content. So they said that भाई ये जो आपने तरीका निकाला है to बाहर से खरीद के लाओ और डिक्लेयर करो कि हमने बचा लिए हैं, so that's kind of a counter strategy which they brought in. ठीक है, हम भी improve होना चाहते हैं, so we will have to improve and we will make sure that we remain relevant as far as the CBAM is concerned. So I'm not talking still on to going into the details of CBAM. I'm just trying to explain to you that we have to be aware. Agar if we are not risk averse, if we are not ready to accept the risk which is there, and we continue to remain in our paradigm, God save us. मैं तो मतलब मेरी उम्र 57 साल की हो गई, 58 साल की हो गई है, and I'm sure कि मैं 70 साल से ज्यादा नहीं जीऊंगा, तो मुझे तो 20 साल और देखना है. 20 साल में तो 80 मीटर पानी नहीं बढ़ने वाला. So I will live my life and I will die peacefully in Delhi, and so will both of us. But the organizations are not made for 20 years. The organizations are made for decades. They are made for centuries. So when we are in an organization, we are not selfish enough. I'm not thinking about only myself, and I'm not also thinking about my son, who is only about 30 years now. So he has to live for another, say, 70 years, and he will definitely see that rise of sea level. So for the larger benefit of society, one is the larger benefit of society with the planet. Shorter term, for the very existence of we as professions, our professional life, if we are not make ourselves relevant, खत्म हो जाएगी. And we are already finding them. अगर आप इस समय job search करें for actually a skill, you will not find them. Because जो आपकी mundane jobs थी, जो आपकी requirement repetitive थी, वो आपने already digitize कर चुके हैं. You don't need them, the basic skills. What you need is an advanced skill जो नहीं है. तो जो स्किल आज मैं समझता हूं मेरे पास है, जिसकी वजह से मुझे सैलरी मिल रही है, इट्स ओनली अबाउट few years time that the organization Quality Austria will not need me. If I am not imaginative, if I am not emotion, because that's not which cannot be digitized. AI will not be able to imagine things. Hopefully that's what I think now. Maybe the things will change in coming times to come. Maybe the AI can still start to imagine. But as long as it is not imagining, and I can imagine, I can say that I am relevant. My organization is relevant because my organization is imagining. Thank you so much for your patient hearing, and if I have able to convey a message of circularity, of making myself relevant, ESG as a drive to make sure that we as an organization, we as an individual continue to survive. It is actually about fittest to survive. जो फिट रहेगा वो सर्वाइव करेगा. जब पानी बढ़ेगा और वाटर स्केर्स होगा, जिसके पास पोर्टेबल वाटर होगा वो जिएगा. जब 80 मीटर पानी चढ़ेगा, जो हाई लैंड पे रहेगा वो जिएगा. जब पानी सारे कोस्टल बेल्ट्स और जब ट्रॉपिकल एरियाज, the heating will mainly happen in the tropical zone, and that's where our majority of food production happens. When the tropical zones would not remain habitable, people will move northwards or southwards, where the food production is not there. जिसके पास food बचेगा वो जिएगा. So it's about fittest to survive, and the same applies to our organization. If we are not supporting our customer to make sure that we are supplying parts which are competitive, which are enabling circularity, somebody else will do it for us. Because the customer is not made for 20 years. He is designed himself to remain for centuries to come. So it's all about making a right decision. Life is all about choices. It's about us कि हम अपनी choice कैसे बनाते हैं. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Anil Chaube, for your layman speech. You hit very hard with cruel facts. You almost threatened. I got a message right now that we are having drinks and we will not add water and soda. At this point of time, we can contribute ESG in this manner only. So thank you very much. And our last speaker of today's evening is what we call him as School of Sales, Institution of Marketing. He has a 34 year of experience. He eats, he walks, he sleeps, only sales and marketing. His major focus is on sustainability and information security. He has a wide exposure in working in UK, and he was instrumental in the evolutionary growth of sales in Quality Austria. He has taken the organization like Quality Austria in a new height. So without wasting time, he has already moved on. He doesn't want to waste his time as well. So I would like to welcome Mr. Pankaj Srivastav.
Thank you.
On the dais.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for a patient hearing. It's a wonderful occasion to have you all here. And I just want to talk about maybe about 3 things which will be significant for you all, okay? So I want to kind of talk to you, and I want you to participate, especially the people at the back. Sir, can you hear me? If you can hear me at the back, can you raise your hands? Wave to me if you can hear me. Okay. So maybe I need the cordless mic. Oh, cordless mic there. So I think I'll talk about just 3 things, and I want you to participate with me. Okay. So promise. Raise of hands, show of hands. You're going to work with me. Fair enough. Excellent. Do you think, are you having at least the most fundamental knowledge about sustainability? Yes, no. Raise hands if you think that you know sustainability. Raise your hands if you know sustainability. Anybody who says, raise your hands higher so I can see from here. Okay, so about that 7-8 people who think, so I think most of my speakers have not been able to give you enough gyan, which I will tell you. Okay. Tomorrow morning when you hit your home, okay, hit your offices, कल सवेरे जब आप अपने ऑफिस में जाएंगे तो क्या आप मेरे लिए काम करेंगे? करेंगे? सुन नहीं रहा? करेंगे? Okay. ये बहुत सिंपल सी एक्सरसाइज है. आप अपनी टीम को बुलाएंगे, ठीक है, उनको एक बात बताएंगे कि सस्टेनेबिलिटी एक चीज है जिसका मतलब है उसको जो भी हम अभी कर रहे हैं उसमें कैसे सेविंग्स लानी है. ठीक है, मैं आपसे अभी बात करूंगा एक मिनट. सिग्निफिकेंट सेविंग्स लानी है. सिग्निफिकेंट सेविंग का मतलब है कि अगर हम कोई चीज यूज कर रहे हैं उसका सिग्निफिकेंट सेविंग लाना है. ठीक है, ये क्लियर है? सबको एक एक कागज दे दे, जैसे आपके पास नोटपैड्स रखे हुए अपनी टीम को, और उनसे बोले एक चीज वो लिखें. आस्क देम टू राइट ऑन द पेपर व्हाट इज दैट वन थिंग दे वुड लाइक टू डू इंडिविजुअली. इजी एक्सरसाइज, आसान है, पूछ सकते हैं, पूछ सकते हैं. What do you people feel over here? Possible? Can you ask your team to say what will be your individual contribution to maybe reduce, maybe reuse, maybe recycle, anything which you heard about people, planet, profit, anything you heard about 3 C's, 5 C's, 5 P's, so on and so forth. Can you do that? If you are able to do this exercise, can you drop me a mail tomorrow afternoon that you have actually gone to the step 1? Last table on that side. Kunal sir, in for the game. सर आप करेंगे? कल आपको एक काम करना है, फर्स्ट स्टेप लेना है. जमशेदपुर की इस संध्या से हमने एक स्टेप लेना है. आपने एक छोटी सी एक्सरसाइज करनी है. एक पेपर पे अपनी 5, 6, 10, 15 जितनी भी बड़ी टीम है उनको बुलाना है और उनके साथ एक छोटा सा कॉन्वर्सेशन करना है. आप सस्टेनेबिलिटी के लिए इंडिविजुअली क्या कर सकते हैं. कुछ चीजें ऑलरेडी आप देख रहे हैं. सम ऑफ द थिंग्स यू आर ऑलरेडी सीइंग. फॉर एग्जांपल, you might have seen switch off the lights, LED lights, switch off the air conditioners, right? Switch off things which are not required. When you leave the meeting room, you are using some of the 5S things and saying, okay, do this, 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 this. Also, you're doing online meetings, right? Number of things are being done already. So that's the first step. Once you get the inputs from all your 5, 6, 7, 10 people, you are ready for understanding what is your current risk. You get a flavor of your small department's risk, and then you have to decide what is the way you would like to treat this risk. What is your risk appetite? Would you like to live with this risk? Would you like to treat this risk? Would you like to terminate this risk? Or would you like to transfer this risk? Okay, so these are the first and the foremost things which you have to do tomorrow. The second thing is even more easier. I look at you, all of you, adults, having children. In a way, I have 2 daughters. So when it came on deciding which field of study my daughter should do, very difficult thing, which requires to go to the wise advisors and ask someone, BTech कराएं, NEET पढ़ाएं, BA BCom कराएं, CA कराएं, आर्ट्स कराएं, IAS पढ़ाएं, UPSC पढ़ाएं, कुछ कराएं. But you go to people to get some input saying, please help me to understand what is it. By the way, all of us are very knowledgeable, but you need help. While seeking help, we have developed a very simple tool by putting some of the inputs you will be able to get what is your current ESG related risk. Okay, so it's an online assessment tool. If anybody is interested in taking the online assessment tool, we have some of the people, or I am here, you can contact me. We can do a free of cost, an online assessment for you. What is your current ESG related risk? Free of cost, only for the people over here. Okay, so that's the second thing. Third thing is, managing a risk is different for everyone. If you're driving a Kia, if you're driving a say Harrier, or if you're driving a big maybe 7, 10, 12 wheeler, it's a different risk. So if you're a large company, your risk is very different than that for a small company. So in terms of risk exposure, you will have to understand what is your current risk exposure. And for that also we can help you. Okay? We can help you to get your risk assessment done, to get to know whether you are in the right place or the wrong place at this point of time. When I say wrong place, it means हो सकता है आपको compliance कराया जा रहा हो, आपको आपका OEM आपसे पूछ रहा हो कि आपने ये किया है और आप कोई कागज फिल कर रहे हो, बट अगर हम उसका डेटा पूछेंगे तो कुछ होगा, शायद कुछ नहीं होगा. That itself is a risk. So we can help you get there. So without much ado, I'd like to conclude on 3 points. How many of you have done ISO 9001? Can you raise hands? ISO 9001. सब लोगों ने ISO 9000 किया है. जिन लोगों ने ISO 9000 किया है, उन लोगों ने ESG की पहली सीढ़ी कर ली है. आप लोग को ये भी पता चला होगा कि जो नया स्टैंडर्ड आ रहा है ISO 9000 का, which is the final draft international standard 2026, is having what in it? क्या है उसमें? हाँ, सस्टेनेबिलिटी. इधर से कुछ कह रहे थे लोग. It has ESG in it. It has sustainability in it. So all those people at the room who have got ISO 9000, you're already on the first step of getting on to the ESG. Okay, second thing. How many of you got 14001? Raise your hands. Okay, lot of you. जिनके पास 14000 है, उनका 25% काम start है. How many of you got let's say OSHA's 18,000 or now 45,000? 45,000 काफी लोग के पास है. Very good. You are already doing a lot of work on the social side. Datta sir spoke about gender diversity, safety and areas like that. You're already onto that. Anybody in the room doing maybe 50,000 energy management? Okay, there are few people. Sir, you are already halfway through because you know you have your baseline, you know what are your energy impacts, so on and so forth. All you now have to do, maybe look at the carbon. Right? So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. It's not difficult. It needs a little bit of understanding this topic, and that's why we thought we'll come, transfer some of our knowledge to you with the illustrious experts. Please network, enjoy some company. Over to Jen.
Thank you, Mr. Pankaj Srivastava. Now I would like to invite, and before that invitation, let me tell you one thing, that during your refreshment and food and drinks, you can ask any question and many questions to our all experts, which will include Mr. Hardeep Grewal, Mr. Anil Chaube, and Mr. Pankaj Srivastava. So now I would like to invite the panelists to come on the dais. I would like to request the volunteers to arrange the chairs. I would also like to request Shweta and her colleagues to carry the mic to the people who want to ask any question. So, Mr. Srivastava, Mr. Chaube and Mr. Grewal and our chief guest. And before that, I would like to announce the presence of ours and yours. Why I am saying yours, that I think 98% people who are sitting here are having single customer, that is Tata Motors Limited. So I would like to request Mr. Anil Chaube to honor two guests from Tata Motors Limited. Mr. Anil Chaube. Have a huge round of applause. There is no name required because these two personalities are well known, well familiar to all of you. That shows their seriousness, sincerity, dedication towards ESG. And remember that if they are also here, we heard from Mr. Chaube about the guideline, the deadline of Tata Motors towards ESG. So you need to tighten your belt. And as Mr. Datta and Mr. Grewal and Mr. Srivastava talked about the guideline and the pathway of ESG, so we need to have the starting point of the preparation. So please, honorable guests and QACA panelists, to come on the dais. I repeat again, you can ask any question, many questions, whatever comes in your mind, and Shweta will reach to you.
So we are having a 10 minutes of a brief question and answer round. So all kinds of questions are welcome. So anybody can ask any question with any one of us. So anybody from the team?
I would help you, Mr. Srivastava. Anybody, any ladies and gentlemen, if you want to ask any question from this side.
Gentleman at the back, Shweta, on the last table.
Good evening, everyone. My question is I'm a sheet metal manufacturer fabricator. So I'm already into laser cutting, and welding is a major area where I think carbon emissions are occurring. So we are already using carbon and argon. So what else is required for people like us?
As I said, if we look at a very short-term solution, we will get confused. We will have to first understand, we will have to first learn what other techniques can happen and how best we can improve the efficiency of the processes which we are doing. It's not about changing, it's not about trying to do things differently immediately. That will happen. That will happen in times to come. The first step is to actually make sure that you are not wasting, because you see, we cannot stop producing. As of today, if you are using welding as a process, you cannot start making a product for Tata Motors without welding. That's not the option. The option definitely is that if we are producing in a slightest manner in which there is an amount of inefficiency involved, can we remove that? That will contribute in my way to reduce the carbon load which I have been doing in past. That's a very noble and an effective way of looking at the contribution.
So it's like looking at exports in the next 1 or 2 years. What are the things that I need to do?
So, a couple of things. I think two things. One is, of course, globally, and especially to the country you are looking to put your products to, would have certain standard regulatory issues coming out of sustainability stroke ESG. One of them is, of course, CBAM, which is applicable to specifically certain types of components, so steel, aluminum, stuff like that. So you'll have to figure out, A, what are those, and do you fall into that? So you'll have to necessarily demonstrate compliance. Typically, in the ESG space, you will have to actually start working on the data, which means you'll have to start knowing what is your current energy intensity with respect to that particular process, and also look at the current carbon load on it and document it for a specific product. So which means that specific product which is going over there is what will need to be documented both in terms of the energy intensity, and you will have to figure out that if the product moves from A plant to B plant to C plant, and there is transport logistics involved into it, that all amalgamates into what you will have as your final carbon footprint. That carbon footprint will need to get some kind of validation. If the Europe decides to get it regulatory, we'll have to have people or agencies who are sort of approved to validate your data. Right? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gyanveer Singh, the Managing Director of Automotive Engineers, to ask this question. I will request other honorable guests to come up with any question.
The lady over here, Shweta. Yes, sure.
Good evening, everyone. Sir, I'm from casting industry. Like we are running paint shop in our industry. So there are so many sludges we are generating, and we hand over those sludges to the waste management, Aditipur waste management.
Right.
Basically, they are also doing the landfilling. So I just want to know, instead of landfilling, what can we do for those sludges?
Very good.
That environment cannot be affected.
Right. So you'd like to ask?
Okay.
Sure.
If you are looking at paint sludges, I thought when we interacted with some of our automotive customers, paint sludges have got some value. And if you are sending that to the landfill, actually it is underutilization of the land. And the whole concept of circularity comes from no byproduct has got zero value. It has some value. Today it might be uneconomical to extract the value, but tomorrow it will be valuable. So far as paint sludges is concerned, I think there are cement plants around us, whether it is ACC, Ultratech, or who uses this as fuel. So I think I strongly suggest you to look at it, and if you want the help, I can try to do across the cement plants so that you can check on them. Typically, it is a cement-driven initiative. Cement in the kiln, they use this fuel. So this
I'm not very keen to pay you. How does it matter? Because when you send that to waste management company, you have to pay. Here, in this case, you are supposed to only bear the transportation. But a future is not far away when you will get a financial value out of this waste.
I just want to also encourage you, I mean this is a very valid point, but I'll also encourage you to start thinking in terms of what are the alternatives available from a research and development perspective. A lot of these sludges are being used for payments within your plant as well. So you will have to start re-looking at what options you have if you have to reuse in form of alternatives to concrete, alternatives to the tar roads we have, and there is where you can get some significant advantages using it.
Thank you, Pooja Kumari. She belongs to Sudisa Foundry and she is led by one of the veteran, Mr. Umesh Makwana. He is also here with other team members. Thank you very much. Any other question, please? Yes.
At the back. Last.
Hello. Good evening, sir. My name is Suraj Kumar Sinha from Utkal Autobus Private Limited. सर मुझे ये जानना है कि जैसे हम लोग बात करते हैं सस्टेनेबिलिटी की, तो इसमें नेट जीरो और कार्बन न्यूट्रल, इसमें क्या डिफरेंस है सर? सर हिंदी
अल्टीमेटली दोनों जगह में हम लोग ना कार्बन को बिल्कुल हटाना चाहते हैं, दोनों जगह। लेकिन कई जगह एप्लीकेशंस है जहाँ पर कार्बन को हटाना बहुत अभी तक हमको मालूम नहीं कैसे हटाया। जैसे कि आज हम स्टील प्रोड्यूस करते हैं जिसमें कार्बन रहता है, उसका स्ट्रेंथ प्रॉपर्टीज को डेवलप करने के लिए, तो हम वो कार्बन हटा नहीं पा रहे हैं। पॉइंट 1 हम लोग बहुत दूर की बात कर रहे हैं। पॉइंट 1 एक्चुअली हम लोग का कार्बन एमिशन है करीबन 2.5 टन पर टन ऑफ स्टील, तो हम पॉइंट 1 की बात कर रहे हैं जो हमारे पास टेक्निकल सोल्यूशन नहीं है, उसमें कार्बन डालना ही पड़ेगा, तभी जाके वो एलॉय बनेगा आयरन का, तब जाके वो प्रॉपर्टीज मिलेगा। ये कंडीशन में हम लोग सोचते हैं कि 2050 तक अगर ग्लोबली हम नेट जीरो होना चाहते हैं, नेट जीरो की बात इसलिए आ रहा है, हम रिड्यूस करेंगे, रिड्यूस करते करते एक जगह में जहां पर रुक जाएंगे और नहीं घटा पा रहे तब भी एमिशन होगा। तो बोल रहे हैं कि आज 2.5 टन है, स्टील को एग्जांपल दे रहा है, घटा के अगर वो घटा भी दिया तो पॉइंट 1 तो रहेगा ना, अब उसका क्या करेगा? अभी बता रहे थे कि देयर इज अ बजट, दैट मींस दैट बजट इज रनिंग आउट। आपका जेब में 1000 रुपया है, जो बोल रहे थे कि 400 गीगाटन है, वो निकल रहा है, एवरी साल वो निकल जा रहा है करीबन 440 गीगाटन के हिसाब से। आपका जेब में कुछ बचेगा नहीं, तब पॉइंट 1 भी आप प्रोटेक्ट नहीं कर पाएंगे, तो क्या करेंगे? तो उपाय ये है कि देयर आर अपॉर्चुनिटीज टू कैप्चर, आई थिंक you only talked about capture, direct capture. So there are two ways of doing that. One is direct atmospheric capture, DAC टेक्नोलॉजी है, जो आज के डेट में कोई बिजनेस उसमें पैसा लगाना नहीं चाहता। क्यों? आज सिटीजन्स उसको पैसा देना नहीं चाहता जो भी लगाए। लेकिन आपको मालूम होगा म्यूनिसिपल सर्विसेज जो प्रोवाइड करता है, वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट जो करता है, आज के डेट में हम उसको पे करते हैं। वाटर जो क्लीन करके हमारे पास पहुंचाता है, उसको हम पे करते हैं। कल का डेट में हो सकता है 10 साल बाद, हो सकता है 50 साल बाद ये पोजीशन आ जाए जो म्यूनिसिपल सर्विसेज कैप्चर कर रहा है, उसका भी पेमेंट हमसे चार्ज करें, हम उसको पे करें, तो वो सारा टेक्नोलॉजी तब पॉसिबल है। तो एक है डायरेक्ट कैप्चर, दूसरा है जो आज के डेट में शायद आपका इंडस्ट्री भी कर रहा होगा, वो है एफॉरेस्टेशन। आप पेड़ लगाते हो और एक एक पेड़ से वो जब बड़ा हो जाती है तो उसमें आप 20 kg पर ईयर का CO2 कैप्चर कर सकते हो। ये सारा ना डायरेक्ट कैप्चर ऑफसेट का जरिया है। तो नेट जीरो क्या हो गया? जो आपका एमिशन है प्लस जो डायरेक्ट कैप्चर किए, एमिशन तो पॉजिटिव एमिशन है, डायरेक्ट कैप्चर क्या है? नेगेटिव एमिशन है। ये दोनों मिला के जीरो की तरफ पहुंचना। लेकिन नेट जब हम बोलते हैं कार्बन न्यूट्रलिटी, तब ये ऑफसेट इज नॉट एन ऑप्शन। So there is an international debate going around whether we should strive to achieve net zero, or should we strive for carbon neutrality? There are regulatory challenges. As a result, this debate is happening. Otherwise, for common man, it is a decarbonized society. जैसे कि आज के डेट में 410, 420 ppm CO2 है, जैसे जैसे हम emit किए जा रहे हैं उसका कंसेंट्रेशन बढ़े जा रहा है। वो ताकि ना बढ़े, इसी के लिए हम लोग नेट जीरो या कार्बन न्यूट्रलिटी की बात कर रहे हैं। दोनों का एंड गेम है हम एटमॉस्फेयर में और कार्बन मैन-मेड कार्बन इमिट नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन देयर आर सम नेचुरल कार्बन साइकिल्स, वो तो रहेगा। डज इट आंसर योर क्वेश्चन?
जी सर, मैं समझ गया। सर एक और क्वेश्चन था मेरा, जैसे पेंट स्लज के लिए आपने मैडम को बताया, तो सर पेंट स्लज के लिए जो सीमेंट इंडस्ट्रीज आपने बताया कि सीमेंट इंडस्ट्री में लोग दे सकते हैं, तो सर ये किस हद तक मतलब हम लोगों के लिए मतलब कैसे अप्रोच करें? उनका कोई विंग रहता है जिससे हम कंसल्ट करें या कैसे? क्योंकि अभी तक हम लोग जो नॉर्मल यूज़ करते हैं, जो हमारा पेंट स्लज होता है, या तो हम लोग लैंडफिल ही करते हैं या तो फिर आदित्यपुर वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट करके हमको देते हैं। तो कैसे सर उनको कंसल्ट कर सकते हैं कि हमारा वो वेस्ट को हम प्रॉपर जगह पर दे सकें?
I admit that you have got a valid question, and I think the question and the challenge are equally valid for small scale players. Large scale में ना आपका लॉजिस्टिक्स वैलिड होती है, तो सीमेंट प्लांट जब आगे एक ट्रक भेजती है तो आप उसको उठा दे सकते हैं, और उसमें आपका हैजर्डस वेस्ट है तो उसको आप 90 डेज के ऊपर रख भी नहीं सकते हैं। ये सारा चैलेंजेस है, छोटा छोटा में आपको इंडिकेट करना। तो इसका सोल्यूशन क्या है ना, कोलैबोरेशन। लोकल लेवल में अगर आपका कोई एसोसिएशन रहे जो ये सारा पेंट स्लज को कलेक्ट करके सीमेंट प्लांट को इकट्ठे भेज पाए, तो शायद ये लीस्ट कॉस्ट ऑप्शन हो। आई एम नॉट सेइंग इट इज द profitable option, but maybe there is a least cost option. There is an alternate fuel section in cement industry. Normally it is with Ultratech, it is with ACC. वो सारा का सारा any fuel, any municipal waste जिसका कैलोरी वैल्यू 2500 से ज्यादा है, 2500 किलोकैलोरी पर केजी से ज्यादा है, वो उसको यूज करता है। क्या करता है? अपना जो कोल कंजम्पशन है ना उसको अवॉइड करता है। That's how they reduce their emissions. तो वो उसके लिए उन लोग तैयार है, वो कलेक्ट भी करता है। I think back in 2010 they were organizing workshop in Jamshedpur to understand कौन हमें ऐसा चीज दे सकता है जो हम fuel का तरीके से यूज कर सकते हैं। उसी समय हम लोगों को ये चीज मालूम चला, उसी का सोल्यूशन हम लोग बता रहे हैं। अगर स्किल से हम लोग I don't think we are sending any valuable material to them, but ये volatile matters जो स्लज है इसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन वहाँ हो सकता है।
Thank you, Mr. Suraj, for your very valuable question. Mr. Oh, I'm sorry.
मैं आपकी बात में जो आप पहले कर रहे थे उसमें एक चीज जोड़ना चाह रहा हूँ उदाहरण के तौर पे। वो ये कि सर ने बात करा कि डायरेक्ट कार्बन कैप्चर, ऐसी मशीनें बन रही हैं जो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड प्रोड्यूस हो रही है आपके फैक्ट्री प्रोडक्शन के सिस्टम में से उसको कैप्चर करते हैं। तो आसानी ये है कि कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड पानी में घुलने वाली गैस है, तो अगर कोई रास्ता निकाल देते हैं कि हम जहाँ वो हो रहा है उसका विसर्जन हो रहा है वहाँ हम पानी में उसको मिला लें तो हम उससे उसको एक्सट्रैक्ट कर सकते हैं। उनके अलावा जो है ना, मैं उस पर एक छोटी सी बात आपसे करना चाह रहा था, जो मामला मेरे को कहीं से पता चला। वो ये है कि भाई कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड को हवा में से कैप्चर करने की सबसे अच्छी मशीन क्या है? पेड़ है। तो अगर पेड़ है तो वो हवा में से कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड को एक्सट्रैक्ट कर लेता है, खुद वो ग्रो करता है। अब मसला सिर्फ इतना है कि अगर हम इसको लंबे समय के लिए जो वो उसने कैप्चर कर लिया उसको 10 का 10 बचा लें तो हमने कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड को रिमूव कर दिया। आमतौर पे बात ये है कि साहब आप ये काम 100 साल तक अगर कर ले रहे हो तो एक लफ्ज इस्तेमाल हो रहा है कि आपने कार्बन सिक्वेस्टर कर लिया। तो देश में आपने देखा होगा पहले कोयला बनता था, लकड़ी का कोयला आज भी बनता है। वो कैसे बनता है? एक बंद माहौल में लकड़ी जलाई जाती है और उससे कोयला बनता है। तो अब बायोचार बनाने की मशीनें जो है वो आ गई हैं
माहौल में उसको बनाया जाता है। और ये बायोचार जो है ये जमीन इसको बाद में पाउडर बना के जमीन में फैला देते हैं, वो एक अच्छी खाद के रूप में काम करते हैं। तो ऐसे बहुत सारे नुस्खे अब अस्तित्व में आ रहे हैं जिससे कि जो कार्बन है जितनी एटमॉस्फेयर में है उसको भी सिंचित किया जा सकता है और उसको उपयोग किया जा सकता है। तो मतलब टेक्नोलॉजी का मामला जो है अब बढ़ नहीं रहा है। ज़्यादा बड़ी बात यह है कि कोशिशें अगर बड़े पैमाने पर होनी शुरू हो जाएंगी तो फिर बहुत सारा और अच्छा ढंग तरीके का इनोवेशन जो है इसमें हो।
I think Mr. Suraj, you are very satisfied. Any other question?
हेलो सर। सर हम लोग एमसी मेटल कार्ड से आते हैं, तो सर ऑलरेडी हम लोग अपने जो वेस्टेज होते हैं लाइक पेंट वेस्टेज, कॉटन वेस्टेज, लाइक दैट, तो हम लोग ऑलरेडी हाजीपुर वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट के साथ जो गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटी के साथ है उसके साथ हम लोग इंक्लूड है। लेकिन सर क्या है कि मतलब कि एक तो हम लोग स्टाफ मेंबर है, एक वर्कर मेंबर, टू टाइप्स ऑफ मेंबर इन प्लांट। तो क्या है कि स्टाफ मेंबर तो मालूम है उनको कि ये वेस्टेज यहाँ जाने का है, क्वेश्चन तो वहाँ जाने का है, तो हो जाता है। तो क्या है कि सर कि जो लोअर लेवल में इस प्रोग्राम को डालने का है उसके लिए कुछ नया कुछ क्या हम लोग कर सकते हैं प्लांट में कि लोअर लेवल तक जा सके। क्योंकि देखिए जो अपर लेवल है वो ऑफिस में बैठे रहते हैं, वो ऑफिस देखते हैं कुछ उसको मिल गया नीचे से तो हम लोग दे देते हैं। बाकी लोअर लेवल क्या करते हैं उसको लिए वो कॉटन वेस्ट आया तो बाहर फेंक दिए, पेंट वेस्ट आया कुछ नीचे गिरा दिए। लेकिन जो पेंट वेस्ट जैसे है वो आपका वेरी हार्मफुल प्रोडक्ट है, कॉटन वेस्ट वेरी हार्मफुल प्रोडक्ट है। तो ऐसे हम लोग प्लांट में बहुत सारे हार्मफुल प्रोडक्ट है, तो उसको रोकने के लिए जो लोअर लेवल तक ले जा सके उसके लिए हम लोग क्या प्रोग्राम करना चाहिए, क्या करना चाहिए, आप लोग सजेशन प्लीज।
आपका ये वैलिड क्वेश्चन है एंड जब छोटा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन होता है ना इसके लिए ये जो आप सोच लिए ना ये इसका सॉल्यूशन है। आपको मालूम हो गया कि एक प्रॉब्लम है कि आप ऑफिस में जिन लोग काम करते हैं वो ये हैंडल नहीं कर रहे, ग्राउंड लेवल में जो काम कर रहे हैं वो हैंडल कर रहे हैं। ये जब पॉइंट आइडेंटिफाई कर लेना सॉल्यूशन बाकी सब सिंपल है। सॉल्यूशन ये है कि आपको उसका अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम ले आना है। आपको ये फेंकने से क्या प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है, किस तरीके का अपना हेल्थ का प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है, उस जोनल में क्या प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है, ये सब हम बता सकते हैं। आप उसका हल ढूंढ चुके हैं, अब बाकी तो सॉल्यूशन आपके हाथ में है। मुझे लगता है मेरे को ज्यादा बोलने की जरूरत नहीं।
मैं वो समझ रहा हूँ, लेकिन क्या है सर वो बॉटम लेवल तक कोई नहीं आ पाया है।
देखिए बात बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं आप, बॉटम लेवल पे आने के लिए सबसे पहले तो अवेयरनेस क्रिएटिंग की जरूरत है। लेकिन मेरा ये मानना है अपने इतने सालों तक काम करके कि प्रॉब्लम कभी भी नीचे नहीं होती है, प्रॉब्लम हमेशा ऊपर ही होती है। प्रॉब्लम ऊपर से नीचे पर्कुलेट करते करते प्रॉब्लम का शेप ही चेंज हो जाता है। सबसे पहले मतलब मैं कोई बोलिएगा मतलब रिप्लाई मत करिएगा, मतलब मैं एक इंट्रोस्पेक्शन की बात करता हूँ। हम में से जितने लोगों के पास अपना एफ्लुएंट ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट है कितनी एक्चुअल कैपेसिटी पे है। अगर हमारे पास लेट से 10 किलोलीटर का एफ्लुएंट निकलता है तो क्या हमारे पास एफ्लुएंट ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट 10 किलोलीटर का है? तो इसलिए कह रहा हूँ ये बेचारा लोअर लेवल की बात कहाँ से आ गई? यहाँ पे कहाँ है लोअर लेवल? यहाँ तो अपर लेवल की बात है। तो ये अपर लेवल और लोअर लेवल में लोअर लेवल बात की चीज है। पहले हम तो अवेयर हो क्या हमने एफ्लुएंट ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट पूरी कैपेसिटी का लगाया है, नंबर 1। क्या हम रात में अपना बाईपास ऑन कर रहे हैं? रात जब होती है, जैसे ही रात हुई वैसे हम बाईपास ऑन कर रहे थे। मैं इंडस्ट्री से आया हूँ इसलिए मुझे सब पता है, मैंने इंडस्ट्री में मैंने भी वो किया है। लेकिन एक बियॉन्ड एक कहीं जाने के बाद जब अवेयरनेस आ गई, सबसे पहले तो मेरे अंदर अवेयरनेस आनी चाहिए। अगर मैं उस पोजीशन पे बैठा हूँ एज अ CEO ऑफ द कंपनी, सबसे पहले तो मेरे अंदर अवेयरनेस आनी चाहिए कि क्या मैं एनवायरनमेंट के प्रति कंसर्न हूँ। और कंसर्न हूं तो अपने डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन करना पड़े, अपने एंगल से, अपने एक्शन से डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करना पड़ेगा। मैं कन्विंस्ड हूं कि जब हम ऊपर बैठे हुए लोग ऑफिस में अगर कन्विंस्ड हो जाएंगे कि हमें ये एक्टिविटी एनवायरनमेंट को जो पोल्यूट कर रही है उसको रोकना है, तो हम रोक देंगे। अगर हम चाहते हैं, एक सिंपल एग्जांपल है, अगर हम चाहते हैं कि 1000 पीस का शॉर्ट रेट लगे, अगर हम प्रेस इंडस्ट्री में हैं तो क्या 1000 नहीं लगता है? 1000 नहीं लगता होगा तो 999 लगता होगा, 999 लगता होगा, 1000 लग जाता होगा। हम चाहते हैं, जो चाहेंगे वो हो जाएगा। हम जो हमारे जैसे लोग जो एम्प्लॉइज हैं, मैं एक बार जनरलाइज करता हूँ, हम लोग आते हैं काम करने के लिए, हमें जो बोला जाएगा वो हम काम करेंगे। क्या हमें बोला गया है कि हमें एफ्लुएंट ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट रात में बाईपास करना है? अगर बोला गया है तो हम करेंगे। हम में से कितने लोगों ने अपने आप एफ्लुएंट ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट बाईपास किया हो? किसी ने नहीं। हमें कौन सा शौक है कि हम जाके एफ्लुएंट ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट रात में बाईपास करें? हमें कोई शौक नहीं। हम मजबूर होते हैं, जो हमें बोला जाता है वो हम करते हैं। सो सबसे पहले तो मैं इसमें ये कहना चाहता हूं कि जो थॉट है, द वेरी थॉट दैट द प्रॉब्लम इज एट द बॉटम इज इनकरेक्ट। द प्रॉब्लम ऑलवेज एट द टॉप। मैं इसका आंसर डिफरेंट या पार्ट मी, it's not a very ethical answer, but the fact of the matter remains that we at the top, including me, are actually not looking at things in the whole perspective. We are looking at in a very short term benefit की तरफ से देखते हैं, इसलिए प्रॉब्लम पड़ती है। It's actually a governance issue। मतलब ESG एंगल से मैं बोल रहा नहीं चाहता सर, ESG एंगल से बोले, ESG एंगल में जो गवर्नेंस का इशू है वही है। हम अगर पेंट की बात इतनी कर दी, हम में से कितने लोगों ने अपने आप को बेंचमार्क किया है कि स्क्वायर एरिया इज स्क्वायर इंच कवरेज ऑन पर लीटर ऑफ कंजम्पशन ऑफ पेंट? नोबडी सर, नोबडी। पेंट स्लज की बात क्यों कर रहे हैं? पेंट स्लज की बात, मैं तो कहता हूं आप एनवायरनमेंट की बात मत करिए, आप पैसे की बात करिए। मूला, अगर हम अपने आप को बेंचमार्क ही नहीं कर रहे हैं कि हमारा जो कवरेज है ऑन पर लीटर ऑफ पेंट वही हमें नहीं पता, तो स्लज की बात कहां से आ गई? जितना खराब परफॉर्मेंस उतनी ज्यादा स्लज। अब हम कहेंगे मैं स्लज का डिस्पोजल कैसे करना चाहते हैं? तो उन्होंने सर ने कहा ना कि अगर हमारे पास हमारा जो स्टील है उसमें जब तक हम कार्बन इम्बेड नहीं करेंगे वो उसकी इतनी प्रॉपर्टी नहीं आएगी। दैट्स द रिक्वायरमेंट एज ऑफ नाउ। हम कम करते करते भी 0.1 तक रह जाएंगे, फंस जाएंगे। लेकिन सबसे पहले ये तो पता चले कि 0.1 तक आ सकते हैं। हम तो सोच रहे हैं कि हम 1% पे खुश हैं। थैंक यू सर।
Shweta, will you take the mic at this side?
Good evening to all. Actually, I am Kunal from Industrial Forge Engineering Company Limited, Jamshedpur. One question from my side related to CBAM. Actually, we are manufacturing the forging, and earlier we are using the furnace to heat the billet, and currently we have switched from furnace to IBH. Sir, actually I want to know if you want any option to reduce carbon or any options for further improvement.
आपने टेक्नोलॉजी चेंज किया जाएगा, मैं सुन नहीं पा रहा।
मैं बताना चाह रहा हूँ कि सर जैसे पहले हम लोग फर्नेस ऑयल से बिलेट हीटिंग करते हैं, उसके बाद फोर्ज कर रहे हैं, और करेंटली हम लोग मोस्टली 95% स्विच कर गए IBH में। तो IBH में करने से वैसे भी हम लोग का कार्बन इमिशन कम हो गया इन रेस्पेक्ट टू फर्नेस, क्योंकि फर्नेस ऑयल उसमें हम लोग यूज कर रहे हैं। तो और हम लोग क्या इनिशिएटिव्स ले सकते हैं कि कार्बन इमिशन और कम हो जाए इन फॉर्जिंग?
In terms of technology, तो फर्क जो फोर्जिंग इंडस्ट्री है वो अभी फिलहाल मेरी नॉलेज के हिसाब से भी अभी बहुत ज़्यादा उसमें मुझे नॉलेज नहीं है कि उसमें क्या फर्दर टेक्नोलॉजी आ सकती है, बिकॉज फोर्जिंग में फर्नेस ऑयल तो एक्चुअली बैंड है। तो जितने लोग फर्नेस ऑयल यूज कर रहे हैं सबसे पहले तो वो नॉन कंप्लायंट है, तो उनकी बात ही ना करें। तो जो कंप्लायंट फ्यूल यूज कर रहे हैं उसमें और फर्दर इम्प्रूवमेंट का जो नॉलेज है वो मुझे है नहीं एक्चुअली, तो सॉरी, मतलब मैं इसमें आपको टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं शेयर कर पाऊंगा। अगर किसी के पास हो, somebody else has got any information on this, then we would all be equally enlightened.
सेकंड, ये जनरल आंसर हम बोल रहे हैं, ऑटोमोटिव सेक्टर का प्रोडक्ट रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं बता। आज का डेट में हम फॉसिल फ्यूल यूज करते हैं, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी यूज करते हैं, यही तो हमारा एनर्जी का मेन सोर्स है। तो फॉर्जिंग इंडस्ट्री में पक्का आपको फॉर्जिंग में इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कहीं ना कहीं यूज कर रहे होंगे। बिलेट हीटिंग में आप बोल रहे हैं कि फर्नेस ऑयल यूज करते हैं। फ्यूचर बिलोंग्स टू नॉन फॉसिल फ्यूल। दिस कैन बी ऑफ टू टाइप, वन इज इनडायरेक्ट एनर्जी व्हिच इज इलेक्ट्रिसिटी। आज के डेट में आपके पास इंडक्शन फर्नेस है और अदर ऑल्टरनेटिव इलेक्ट्रिकल ऑपरेशन का आ रहा है। आज वो ना काफी कॉस्टली होता है, लेकिन कल जब फॉसिल फ्यूल के ऊपर इतना सारा चार्जेस आएगा तब ये becomes likely economic. For example, in steel sector, we are right now looking at replacing fossil fuels either with hydrogen or with electricity backed by renewable. So renewable is an option which is right now sitting, and in majority of the cases it might be economic, makes an economic sense. तो बिलेट की बात कर रहे हैं, उसमें इलेक्ट्रिसिटी इज एन ऑप्शन, हाइड्रोजन इज अ सेकंड ऑप्शन, बट दिस टेक्नोलॉजी आपको आपका सेक्टर के हिसाब से देखना पड़ेगा कि आज उसको अडॉप्ट कर सकते हैं। इसलिए मैंने शुरुआत किया था, हमारे पास सेक्टर स्पेसिफिक आंसर नहीं है, लेकिन ये सारा फ्यूचर है।
Thank you, Mr. Kunal. Yeah, Mr. Umesh Vakwana want to answer to Mr. Kunal's question. Mr. Vakwana.
So actually, one company had come to our industry. They have a power-saving mechanism. It's called IRIS, and I think Ramkrishna Forging over here has implemented in all its induction heating furnaces. I don't know the practicality and the benefit of that, but they claim to reduce the power consumption, and they work on harmonics and some other way. So they wanted to implement in our induction melting furnaces. So we gave them all the statistics, but they haven't come back. But I know for sure that induction heating furnaces in Ramkrishna Forging have this. It's an IRIS power solution. आप Google कीजिए IRIS के बारे में, there is one company. Otherwise you get in touch with me, I'll forward you that.
Thank you for the answer. It definitely enlightens. What I want to mention here is that, for the, as I said, the first point is that if we have acknowledged that there is an opportunity, acknowledged that we should work in a particular area, then half the battle is won. तो अगर एक्नॉलेज नहीं करेंगे कि यहाँ पे हम कुछ चेंज कर सकते हैं तो फिर बात ही खत्म हो जाती है। तो एटलीस्ट आई एम सो हैप्पी दैट लोग सोच रहे हैं कि भाई अगर इसमें और फर्दर क्या हो सकता है। Not to take it politically, but for example, the government of India has changed from E10 petrol to E20 petrol, and there is such a huge hue and cry. Honestly, मैं सब लोग गाड़ी चला रहे हैं यहाँ पे, मैं I don't know किससे मैं सवाल पूछूं, कौन ऐसा आदमी है यहाँ पे जो ये कंपेयर करा पाएगा कि जब मैंने फ्यूल बदला तो गाड़ी की मेंटेनेंस कॉस्ट बढ़ गई। सारा सोशल मीडिया इस बात से भरा हुआ है कि गाड़ी की मेंटेनेंस कॉस्ट बढ़ गई जब से E20 आया है, एक साल रनिंग कॉस्ट तो आसान है कैलकुलेट करना, वो कह रहे मेंटेनेंस कॉस्ट बढ़ गया। सो वरीड कि इसका मतलब है कि आपको किसी भी चेंज को अपोज करना है। मेंटेनेंस कॉस्ट फ्यूल से रिलेट करना एक गाड़ी के अंदर एक साल के अंदर, मैं गाड़ी तो मेरे पास भी आपके पास भी है, आप रनिंग कॉस्ट कंपेयर कर पाएंगे टू सम एक्सटेंट, बट मेंटेनेंस कॉस्ट इंजन चेंज हुआ तो फिर भी समझ में आता है कि भाई आपने सीएनजी इंजन लेके गए थे, मेरी आदत है आईसी इंजन देखने की, मैं सीएनजी इंजन देखने में मुझे ज्यादा टाइम लगा तो मैंने ज्यादा पैसे मान लिए। ये तो एनी पेट्रोल डाला हमने, So the first thing is that we as human, we as individual, we resist change. तो चेंज नहीं चाहिए हमको। ई-10 हम आज तक चला रहे थे, हमें से कितने को पता था कि ई-10 था वो? ज्यादातर लोगों को पता ही नहीं था कि वो ई-10 था। 10% इथेनॉल मिल रहा है, इफ आई एम करेक्ट, 2020 से या 2018 से 10% इथेनॉल सरकार मिला रही थी, हमको पता ही नहीं था। We were so happy। अब जब 10% और बढ़ाया और हल्ला हो गया। प्रॉब्लम ये है कि इस बार हल्ला हुआ, इथेनॉल मिलाएंगे नहीं, इथेनॉल क्यों मिलाएंगे? मेरी गाड़ी खराब हो जाएगी। सो ये लॉबिंग है। मेरा एक और स्टैंड कि अगर हमें अपना 100 मीटर पानी बढ़ने से रोकना है तो यार थोड़ा सा अगर मेरी कंजम्पशन कम हो गई, that is my contribution to that 100 meter. That's another way of looking at it. There's no political angle in this. I don't want to have any debate on this. Politically inspired है या politically inspired नहीं। एकदम ने कम किया, हमारा अपना contribution था भाई। दुर्गा पूजा जब लगता है तो मैं 500 रुपए देता हूँ, मैं 50,000 रुपए को देता हूँ, लेकिन नाश्ता तो उतना ही हूँ जितना बाकी लोग नाचते हैं जाके। जब स्कूल खेला होता है तो मैं उतना ही नाचता हूँ अपने 500 रुपए से।
Any other questions?
So now I think it's a high time to invite the dynamic East Zonal Head. Okay, I was struck by Shweta that there is one more process is left to present the memento to our honorable chief guest, Mr. Datta. So I would like to invite Mr. Anil Chaube and Mr. Pankaj Srivastava, along with Mr. Grewal, to present the memento to Mr. Subhajit Datta. Okay, now I would like to invite Zonal Head East, the dynamic personality, Mr. Sandeep Dubey, to give the vote of thanks to all distinguished and honorable guests present here. Mr. Dubey.
I, Sandeep Dubey, Zonal Head for East Zone for Quality Austria Central Asia, would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for sparing your valuable time and attention today. Firstly, I would like to thank Mr. Subhajit Datta, Head Environment Center of Excellence, Tata Steel, for sharing his valuable thought related to climate change, impact and consequences on climate change. Secondly, and most importantly, our delegates from Tata Motors who made out from their busy schedule, and I would like to thank Mr. Shyam Kishore sir, Mr. Rajiv Ranjan sir, and team at the backside, the engine team and the managers, divisional managers, and the senior engineers over there, senior managers over there. I would also like to thank our CEO, Chief Operating Officer Mr. Anil Chaube, Chief Commercial Officer Mr. Pankaj Srivastava, and Chief Sustainability Officer Mr. Hardeep Grewal to have taken time to travel and be here to support QACA East team. I would like to thank our clients and delegates from various companies in and across Jamshedpur. I would especially thank our delegates from Sutisha, Automat, Utkal Auto, BMC Metal Cast, and Industrial Food for interacting with our chief guests and experts of our team by raising queries which are so relevant and important for all of us. This is just the beginning of taking baby steps towards sustainability. Sustainability is no longer a buzzword. It is an important step and must be integrated into business strategy. Thank you all.
फ्री कर देते हैं. Thanks a lot for your tolerance, patience, time, and I hope you enjoyed. वैसे मुझे पता है कोई ये नहीं बोलेगा कि मैंने enjoy नहीं किया, but there are some standardized sentence I have to tell. So I request all guests to have drinks and dinner as per their choice, because this ESG seminar theoretically is at the verge of end for today's evening. So thank you, and I would like to express huge round of applause on behalf of Quality Austria team. Thank you very much and enjoy your evening here. Thank you.